NASCAR. 102.5 and 106.3.
Gonna go 3 wide into turn number 1.
The fastest car won the race.
Checkered flag is in the air.
The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Mixing sports and a little bit of fun.
This is fun!
On your morning drive. This is Robby and Rexrode. With Robby Stanley and Joe Rexrode. Presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty. On Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Ladies and gentlemen,
It's showtime.
And welcome into the Monday edition of Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Robby Stanley alongside Joe Rexrode, Michelle Knezovic here with you on this Monday morning. Michelle and I live from Nashville, Tennessee, here in our 102.5 The Game studios, brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. And Joe Rexrode down in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. Lots of weather down in Hattiesburg, Mississippi this weekend, but Joe is alive and well and looking great. Joe, good morning. How are you?
Yeah, doing just great. You know, I should probably keep it down because the Tennessee baseball team is all around me in this courtyard in Hattiesburg, trying to sleep, having found out at 3 a.m. that they play tonight. I just found out when I woke up.
It's just beautiful that they play. I believe 5 o'clock tonight is the game time. They on Central Time down there in Hattiesburg, or like does Brett Favre have like his own clock system down there?
Yeah, I think it's Central Time, and yeah, it looks like a really prime time for thunderstorms. So very much appreciate that some TV exec dweeb sitting in a desk in Disney World can just, sit there and make decisions and not consider any other factors or consider what that does to people. Like, for example, a coach who last night had no idea if his team was going to play at 11 a.m. or 8 p.m. today, and just, I guess just, all right, guys, just try to, get to bed at a decent time, and we'll see what we're doing tomorrow. Brilliant.
Just absolutely brilliant. So tell us what your weekend's been like down there in Hattiesburg, Mississippi.
Well, yeah, again, I bet you today we'll see some more. We had a really nice Saturday of sitting around with the rain. And somehow, like, the NCAA reps here were, like, adamant that they needed to get this game in, like they wouldn't just call it at like 7 o'clock. And they were telling people, a couple of people who hung around there, like, hey, we're going to get this in tonight. And everybody's like, no, you're not going to get this in tonight. I mean, it was raining sideways.
Just total commitment from their part. It's happening. It did not happen.
Yeah. So then finally they're like, oh gosh, I guess not. So, it's Hattiesburg is a fine place. I've found some good catfish, some good cheesy grits. There's good stuff down here.
That's good.
We're close to the Gulf. Nice people. It's great.
Yeah, real good time down there at the Hattiesburg Super Regional. Game 3 coming up tonight, 5 o'clock, Tennessee and Southern Miss. The winner of Game 3 will head to Omaha for the College World Series. Southern Miss takes Game 1, part of which started on Saturday. It was finished yesterday. Tennessee rallies in Game 2, and they win 8-4. Spectacular performance by Dolander yesterday. Chase Burns comes in and closes the door for the Vols yesterday. And Tennessee, Joe, at least in my opinion, we'll see what happens. It's Game 3. They're on the road, all those things. But from a pitching perspective, I think they're in pretty good shape heading into today. And a winner-take-all game in Game 3 for a trip to College World Series. You can't ask for much more than that if you're Tony Vitello in this program.
Yeah, I mean, I thought I think just about anybody probably who has watched this team thought that they were in big, big trouble when it's 4-0. They're kind of – I don't know if I want to say they're melting down, but they're upset and they're going back and forth with the ump, and the ump is, he is starting to, like make some calls behind the plate where it's like showing a little bit of emotion, and it's kind of like, the strike zone just got a lot bigger for Southern Miss pitchers and a lot smaller for Tennessee pitchers. And so they're going back and forth, and then after all this stuff, Chase Dolander makes really like the one bad pitch he made all day, like just bad mistake. 3-run homer, and now you're playing their ace, who right now has you totally tied up. He's a very frustrating pitcher, not really a power pitcher Tanner Hall. He's just a great changeup guy. He's a like number 90 prospect or whatever. Like he's going to be drafted prominently here in the next draft, and then to turn around and put 6 runs on him the next inning. He had never given up more than 5 in a game in his career. Got 6 on him in 1 inning. That's a pretty stunning turnaround for the Vols, and now they appear to be in great shape today, but we know what this sport is.
We do, and an opportunity tonight for Tennessee to punch their ticket to Omaha yet again. We'll see whether or not they're able to do it. Joe Rexrode will be all over it later today at the Hattiesburg Super Regional down there in Southern Miss. I've heard about a little spiciness between some Southern Miss fans and Tennessee fans. Have you noticed this?
Yeah, definitely. So I know that like Vitello's parents, there was some yelling back and forth. So Christian Scott's dad got like escorted out. So we're watching him kind of like get escorted out of the stadium, and not without knowing what happened, but like they're escorting him out, and he's like pumping his fist to the ball. He's like, "Come on, let's go," and then. So, but then like a few minutes later, he comes back into the stadium, and apparently someone had showed the police a video of what actually happened. Yeah. And so they brought him back in and appeared to kick out, like, I guess the Southern Miss fans who they believed initially. But he was able to come back in. So
it's intense down there, man.
Yeah, there's just one little section, and it's really mostly just parents and stuff. It's parents and donors, because they have kept out like the Vols, just fan on the street who wants to buy a ticket, and yet even like that group, like parents and donors, are getting into fights with the Southern Miss fans. So,
fall Twitter remains undefeated.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's somewhat intense for sure, and today could be interesting, especially nice and hot. Get some delays. Everybody's annoyed. Everybody's ticked off. Imagine the possibilities.
Could be in for a doozy today. We'll see if Tennessee is able to close things out and advance to Omaha for the second time in the past 3 years. Joe, I thought that we were, this time a week ago, maybe headed towards some really good series in the NBA Finals and the Stanley Cup Final, and I'm not convinced that's going to happen. Game 5 tonight between the Nuggets and the Heat. Denver with an opportunity on their home court to close things out and win their first championship tonight. Vegas takes a 3-1 lead against Florida over the weekend as well, and another development from that game, it's pretty clear that Matthew Tkachuk is not healthy. Like, he basically couldn't play in the third period, and they saved him for the last 2 minutes. So his health is in question heading into Game 5. So both Vegas and Denver in very good spots heading into Game 5s, going back home with an opportunity to win a championship. Not a great time for South Florida over the past few games.
Yeah, it's been great runs, but it's the year of close but no cigar in South Florida, it appears, which is too bad. And I mean, my goodness, like you said, Tkachuk is, basically just being kept on ice. Well, you know what I'm saying. Until but my gosh, did he have a look?
He did.
Incredible. I mean,
I don't think
would it have counted though.
It would not have. I don't think he got it off in time.
Yeah, but man, I mean, just to even lift that a little bit and to find out, but because it did kind of feel like, man, what if they do this for a second straight game? You know, what does that mean? But the odds are you're not going to do that for a second straight game. So I don't know. For me personally, I really like the Denver Nuggets. So I don't know, like how I mean, I think basketball fandom at large is fine with them winning. We all wanted a good series.
Sure.
Sorry for your Heat, but
no one hates the Nuggets.
Yeah, but on the other side, I mean, there can't be too many fan bases who can stomach the idea of the Vegas Golden Knights winning a cup already, but they're about to.
They are. I mean, they're getting. I mean, they're just really good. It's so hard to generate any offense on them, and that's the thing. Like, everybody's going to talk about Aiden Hill, and he's certainly made some big saves. No question about that. I was watching it pretty closely the last couple of games. Like, their defense does such a good job of limiting chances that you've got to be just excellent with what you capitalize on if you're Florida, and it's really hard to do. And then on the other side, like Jokic and Jamal Murray and what they've been able to do, and then Aaron Gordon specifically last game was kind of the breakout performance for the Nuggets. Like they're a really deep team. I mean, the two-man game that they play with Murray and Jokic is really good. But Jokic, first off, rolled his ankle in the last game and then got into some foul trouble, and that was kind of like a perfect storm for the Heat there. And Jokic missed like 7 minutes in the fourth quarter because he was in foul trouble. And I think the Nuggets started that run up 10, and by the time he came back in, they were up 9. So they gave up basically 1 point over that stretch. They've had some guys come up, some really big performances, and the Heat just right now, I mean, Jimmy and Bam Adebayo, they need kind of another guy that they just don't really have right now to combat that team.
Yeah, well, you need to have a chance in this series, like you needed Caleb Martin to like stay on an absolute heater and things like that. Like all those guys, Strus. I mean, that's why they're here, right? I mean, they're here because of Jimmy and those guys, but they're also here because those role players have been ridiculous at times, and so anything short of that, like you just don't have enough.
No question. Game 5 tonight in the NBA Finals. We'll see if Denver goes back home and closes this thing out. Game 5 coming up in Vegas between the Golden Knights and the Florida Panthers tomorrow. So looking forward to that as well. An opportunity for a couple of teams at home to win a championship. So anytime you see teams winning championships at home, that's always fun with the crowd and all those things. But we'll see if the Heat can extend the series tonight and if the Florida Panthers can remain alive down 3-1. I will say the Panthers have been down 3-1 once before already in the playoffs in the first round against Boston, and they came back then. So we'll see what happens and whether or not they can do that again against the Vegas Golden Knights. We're off and running today on Robby and Rexrode. Taking your thoughts, 615-737-1025, our phone number, 615-737-1025. Coming up next, we will get into DeAndre Hopkins and his visit this weekend with the Tennessee Titans. How quickly could we see a deal if both sides are interested? We'll get into that coming up next. This is Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
Final lives here. Which team will hoist Lord Stanley's Cup in 2023? Follow all the action on Smashville's home for postseason hockey. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Sometimes you want a sure return on your investment. That's where CDs come into play. At F&M Bank, they've been providing smart choices to customers for over a century, including CDs that are a great way to save. You make a deposit and collect the earnings on your terms. Great rates, predictable results, and backed by the Federal Deposit Insurance Company. That's smart banking. Life is complicated. Banking shouldn't be. So go see them at one of their 20 locations across Middle Tennessee and Southern Kentucky or online at myfmbank.com. F&M Bank. Banking made easy on purpose. Member FDIC.
It's time to tee it up at Edwin Watts Golf Shops for the hottest gifts for dads and grads. Featuring the Callaway Paradigm Drivers. The Callaway Paradigm Drivers feature a 360 carbon chassis for better distance and forgiveness. And from Bushnell, the new Tour V6 Series laser rangefinders provide you the most accurate distances in golf. And for the hard to shop for dad or grad, purchase a gift card for any amount. Edwin Watts Golf Shops, home of the 90-day satisfaction guarantee, and shop us online at edwinwattsgolfshops.com.
Everyone is loving what Genesis Diamonds is doing right now with the lowest interest rates on the planet. Right now, get 0% interest for 5 years on any purchase. A handcrafted Tacori, A Joppi, or Viraggio ring with a GIA certified diamond for only $100 a month. Wedding bands, color bands, fashion necklaces, just $40 a month. Pick any item, pay $0 down, and spread your payments over 5 years. Even the sales tax. Don't miss this amazing offer. All natural and lab-grown diamonds included. Now through July 1st only at Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs. On approved credit, see store for details.
Progressive presents Spectator Tips from Flo, who knows nothing about sports.
First, talk about retired players with reverence, even if they did crush your dreams when they played. Next, whenever people get excited, just yell, "It's about time!" Works in any situation. Finally, when someone mentions protecting the QB, tell them how Progressive protects you round the clock.
That has nothing to do with sports.
Not true?
Anyway, bundle your home and auto to get round-the-clock protection with Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers.
What's up? It's a Target trend alert. New swim has just arrived and it's sunny weather approved.
If you're into bikinis or one pieces, high waists or cutouts, they're the perfect combo of trendy, flattering, and affordable.
That's right. And there are so many cool styles with gorgeous details. These suits have macrame, crochet, wood beads, pretty shells, and more. Totally a luxe for less vibe.
Yes, so dive in and shop this Target trend without the spend.
Want to see our smiling faces? You can watch us on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook Live.
We are good to go.
Presented by Superbook Sports, voted #1 sportsbook in Vegas. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode.
It's part of this nutritious breakfast.
Presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. We are streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. Our video streaming brought to you by Superbook. We're live from our 102.5 The Game studio, brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Robby and Rexrode presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty. Call TJ's team today to see why they're referred to so often. Taking your thoughts, 615-737-1025. DeAndre Hopkins visiting with the Tennessee Titans this weekend. Joey had a nice little Instagram story of a very fancy car that picked him up yesterday with a Photoshop picture of DeAndre Hopkins in a Titans jersey. He had the Chris Stapleton Tennessee Whiskey song attached to it on the post that he had on Instagram yesterday. Looked like DeAndre Hopkins was excited to be here. I have no idea how the visit went or what the Titans and DeAndre Hopkins spoke about. Obviously, we'll see what happens on that front. Hopkins is scheduled to visit with the New England Patriots later this week, and there is no deal as of this second. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean anything, but let's say that there is obviously interest on the Titans side of bringing him in and signing him to a deal, and let's say that the visit went well and that DeAndre Hopkins liked what the Titans had to say, liked what the Titans are about. Obviously, he's got a pre-existing relationship with Mike Vrabel. What's the timeline of what you think we could be looking at here with Hopkins and how long this whole saga shakes out, Joe Rexrode?
Well, first of all, okay, so explain it to me like I'm 5.
Okay.
I saw something. So he put up an actual picture of what he got picked up in, but then he photoshopped in?
No. So he was in the back of the car that the Titans picked him up in, and the Titans had like a screen in there. And it was basically like, hey, welcome DeAndre Hopkins. And it was DeAndre Hopkins photoshopped into a Titans jersey. It's good.
So it was there. They did
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
No, DeAndre Hopkins did not Photoshop himself. Although I'm sure he can if he wants to.
Yeah. Well, although he doesn't recognize sarcasm on Twitter. I learned that last week.
There's that.
For anybody
that
who
was
doesn't
hilarious.
Know that. Yeah. But I mean, to me, if it comes together, that tells me that the Titans are coming right with the money he wants. And maybe that's the case. I'm sticking to my guess, which is he does this visit, he does the Patriots visit, maybe there's more. He's hoping that a bidding situation is percolating here, and I don't think he signs until he gets the kind of money he wants, and which means to me that he's going to be waiting a long time. That's just my guess. But hey, the email on the DeAndre Hopkins signs with the Titans will come out at 9:03 today.
Yes, 9:05 at the latest. That's what we've learned with breaking news here on this show. But I mean, I'm really interested to see, like, is this going to be it in terms of the Titans this weekend, and he's scheduled to visit the Patriots later this week? Is that going to be it? Or are there more teams that, as they look around either at their roster or they look around and maybe they talk themselves into DeAndre Hopkins bringing him in for a visit? Like, does the market heat up the way that he wants it to? Or is this going to be, for the moment anyway, like the Titans and the Patriots in a bidding war to see who can offer him the best deal and he ends up that way? Or does he not like the deal that either one of them offer and waits it out until training camp? I mean, there's a bunch of different ways it could play out, but I am really interested to see if anybody else adds their name into the hat beyond the Titans and the Patriots in terms of visits scheduled for DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah, the Browns appear to be one of those teams that But at most, I guess they'd be one of those teams kind of like, well, let's just wait and sit back and see what happens. I mean, I suppose, like if there's any possibility or any interest at all, if you can get a visit from them, great. But it's also like, if it's like, hey man, like we want to give you like 5, so I don't even know if it's worth coming here, you know?
Right.
I mean, how many teams? I mean, there's a lot of teams that if they felt good about DeAndre Hopkins being DeAndre Hopkins could use a DeAndre Hopkins. I think there's a lot of skepticism about that too. So speaking of which, for people who don't know what I was referencing, Easton Freeze put out a video, and it was basically, I don't have it in front of me, but he was like, yeah, he's totally washed. You know, people shouldn't be trying to sign DeAndre Hopkins. Meanwhile, the video he tweeted out with it was like plays from last year where he looked anything but washed.
Right.
Like it was sarcasm. Like, he's really good. Look at this play. Look at this play. But he, sarcastic tweet. So DeAndre Hopkins took that, I guess, as literally, like he was actually saying he's washed, and he quote tweeted it and said, "What did he say?"
I can't remember exactly what he's deleted it since. I can't remember exactly
something
what he
like,
said.
oh yeah, I'm so washed or something like that.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And apparently he was doing that with a bunch of tweets. He just went on a total Twitter
he did
rampage for people who were, which is really interesting. So he's a big name searcher on Twitter, apparently.
I guess so. Hey, I mean, he would not be the first athlete I've seen do that.
He needs a job. You know?
He need to take some of that time up.
Yeah.
Get off the Twitter and just go play football.
Yeah. So sarcasm detection, not great. But I will say, you watch that collection of plays.
Look good.
Boy, he did look good. Of course, I remember in the 2020 season, you go watch some Julio Jones highlights with Atlanta. Still look like Julio Jones.
He did. I mean, that's what you got to identify if you're the Titans or if you're any other team that's interested, is how much of that does he have left. I mean, look, you can't – we talked about this last week, but you can't convince me that he couldn't really help this team if he's healthy. And that's the main – I mean, that's the main thing. If I'm Vrabel and Rand Carthon evaluating this, like, what's your confidence level that he stays healthy? And it's a very difficult thing to try to answer, but I mean, that's what the NFL is when you're discussing contracts with some of these guys, is calculated risk. I mean, we talk about it with Christian Fulton, right? Like, trying to calculate the risk of what that next deal would look like with Christian Fulton. When he's on the field, he looks good, but you don't have a whole lot of confidence that he's on the field. David Long Jr., when he's on the field, he's been good. Obviously, the Titans didn't have a whole lot of confidence that he would be on the field. By the way, he got hurt in minicamp for the Miami Dolphins, which we did not talk about last week, but yet another strike against David Long Jr. So, I mean, that's what what it comes down to me. If you're Vrabel and you're Carthon, there's no question in my mind that he can help this team. Now, how confident are you that he can stay healthy? And whether it's 17 games or it's 15 games, or if you think that maybe he can give you 8, you don't do it at that point. That's what it comes down to me if you're Carthon and Vrabel here.
Yeah, no. Well, yeah. I mean, look, whatever the number would be, I mean, that's just a risk. Like you're not going to have any certainty, on that, right? I mean, check a guy out and everything's fine and feeling good now, but I mean, you just don't know. And the PED thing, like how does that tie into like the injury situation? And the injury situation last year, how much is that a real injury situation? How much of that was, the season down the tubes and, sick of this stuff? I mean, and then how much does that bother Vrabel? But, if they've got him here, then, I think that tells you right there that it doesn't bother him that much.
Right. I mean, that's the thing. The fact that they're bringing him in and they've gone to this step, I think tells you something about how they think of DeAndre Hopkins. So the timeline of this really is going to be interesting. I mean, I guess I just wonder how patient DeAndre Hopkins is. If he doesn't get the deal that he's looking for with the Titans or the Patriots later this week, what does the patience of level of him look like? What advice is his agent giving him in terms of what to do? Like, is that market going to look better here in a couple of months? Do you wait for maybe some injuries to take place in training camp. I mean, it's going to be really interesting to see, like, if the money's not close to what he's looking for from either one of these teams, how he goes about handling that this week. I mean, if it is, then maybe it's a different discussion. But I think there's a chance that the money may not be what he's looking for.
Yeah, the biggest question is probably like, has he adjusted his expectations based on some of the what I must assume would be insulting offers to him?
Yeah.
Or is he just like, yeah, well, those teams, that's not gonna. I'll find a deal, because really, what's the rush right now? He's taking these visits, but I mean, there's some OTAs still. I get, he could come to an OTA this week with the Titans if he'd like. And then you're just, then you just got basically 6 weeks before anything happens.
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, I guess he could get outfitted with some nice Titans gear in that time, find a place to live, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. I mean, to me, it's like, you do the visits, have a talk, see the other things that matter, because there are other things besides the money, and then hope they come with offers you like. But I personally think there's going to be a gap.
Here's a couple of good back-to-back texts for you. James on the text line says, no more injured dudes, with a lot of exclamation points. And then Rob on the text line says, can we stop clarifying with if he's healthy? Everyone understands an NFL player is better when they're healthy. I understand some players have history, but damn, I hear if he's healthy all day, not just with D-Hop. Well, that's how you determine whether or not you're going to sign him there, Rob.
Well, Rob, if you're healthy, like if you're healthy, you're going to text better, you know? And so if you're not,
If David Long Jr. was healthy, he'd still be with the Titans, but he wasn't, so he's not.
And if this team didn't lead the league in injuries the last 2 years.
Matter of fact, I think if he's healthy, should probably be the only thing we talk about with the Tennessee Titans, because they can't do that apparently.
We should have a segment on the show. Like, we have choice is yours, weekend winners, and then just if he's healthy.
If he's healthy.
Kind of like that, actually.
Maybe so. We'll see what happens. 615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. DeAndre Hopkins visiting with the Titans this weekend. What do you think? Should the Titans sign him? Should the Titans pass on him due to his injury history, as James suggests on the text line? We'll take your thoughts on all of it, 615-737-1025. More on that coming up next. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
I think there's a lot of talent. The Predators' offseason plan is taking shape as incoming GM Barry Trotz and new head coach Andrew Burnett look towards the NHL draft in late June.
It's a really exciting time. I think there's really exciting players.
How much change will they see with the Predators roster?
Big premium on development right now with our young guys. That is our lifeline.
We are your home for Smashville. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
It is almost time to crown an NBA champion, and FanDuel wants you to be part of the excitement, because right now new customers can get a no-sweat first bet up to $2,500. That's $2,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. Unfortunately, things not going very well for my Miami Heat. Denver back at home tonight in Game 5, and I think Denver will win, and they will close it out, and they'll win their first championship tonight in Game 5. But you can take it any way you want to take it. Just make sure you do it on FanDuel Sportsbook. They've got great promotions every single day, and when you win, you get paid instantly. So there's no better place to bet all the finals action than America's #1 sportsbook. Visit FanDuel.com/Rob and get a no-sweat first bet up to $2,500. Once again, that's FanDuel.com/Rob. FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. You must be 21 or older and present in Tennessee. First online real money wager only. $10 deposit required. Refund issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. Got a gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789.
Father's Day is here. Save big on last-minute gifts for Dad at Electronic Express. Don't miss a TCL 55-inch 4K TV for just $269, or an LG laundry pair for only $549 each. Get gifts for Dad with huge savings in every department: computers, appliances, 4K TVs, smart home, furniture and mattresses, and more. Get a SkyTech gaming computer for $899, or a Traeger Pro Series grill for only $499. Get up to 3 years free financing throughout the entire store. Electronic Express. We make it happen.
It's the symphonic rock experience everyone's talking about. The Nashville Symphony performs Windborne's The Music of Led Zeppelin. featuring conductor Brent Havens, vocalist Justin Sargent, and a full rock band. The hits of Led Zeppelin performed live as you've never heard them before. June 25th at Ascend Amphitheater. Tickets are on sale now at NashvilleSymphony.org. Full details at WinbornMusic.com.
Warmer months have you working overtime? Be sure to visit Parman Tractor and Equipment for all your New Holland tractor and bush hog needs. Swing by the store at 3570 Dickerson Pike in North Nashville or give their sales team a call. They're now offering 0% financing for 72 months on select New Holland tractors. Get the brands you trust from a local dealer like Parman, always ensuring totally outrageous customer service. Visit ParmanTractor.com for the best deals on equipment. New Holland Tractor, bush hog, and more.
Will they find a home? Sponsored by Geico. Sarah wants a yard. My own little paradise. Brad, however, hates yard work.
The only thing I hate more than cutting the grass is paying someone to cut the grass.
Compromise is tough, but these two won't have to compromise when they bundle home and car insurance with Geico. It's easy, and they could save even more. In the end, Sarah and Brad found a great home with a yard. A very, very small yard.
Time to get it done. And I'm done.
Bundling without compromise at Geico.com.
They talk sports.
The Predators get the 2 points, which is obviously what they needed.
They're not making big moves that are jaw-dropping signings in free agency.
They talk life.
Well, I almost just fell down the stairs, so there's that.
My backpack was so heavy, the seatbelt alarm was going off the entire trip.
But most of all, they have a good time.
Here or there.
Yeah.
Chase and Michelle, weekday mornings at 9 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey Nashville, this is Laura Rutledge from the SEC Network, and you're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Michelle Knezovic here with you on this Monday, taking your thoughts on DeAndre Hopkins. He visited with the Titans over the weekend. He is scheduled to visit with the New England Patriots later this week. What do you make of the whole thing? The injury history with Hopkins, the age of DeAndre Hopkins, who is 31 years old, but also, the flip side, how much he could help this offense and how much he changes the equation if the Titans decide to sign DeAndre Hopkins. Taking your thoughts on all that, 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Got a texter that says, all I keep hearing is about Hopkins' injury potential. I don't remember him missing a lot of time other than last year's PED suspension. This from an unnamed texter on the text line. There was the PED part of it last year. Now, he did miss time the year before in 2021. Only played in 10 games out of 17 that year. And then last year had the 6-game PED suspension and a couple of games worth of injuries as well. Only played in 9 games last year. So it is kind of multiple years of missing time at this point.
He's played 19 of 34 games the last 2 years. Yes, 6 of them were suspension related. So, and like we've talked about, in maybe the end of last year, I don't know. I don't know exactly what was going on there, but yeah, he's had injuries. He's had knee and what was the other one? I think two lower body injuries, different lower body injuries. So, and then he's at the age he is, and again, and look, when there's an injury situation and then there's a PED suspension, obviously a lot of times PEDs, whatever exactly happened there, are related to someone trying to stay healthy, right? I mean, it's injury prevention. So, it's not nothing.
It's not nothing. Now, on the flip side of that, like I said, the other question that you've got to ask is, how much does he help your offense? Let's say that you feel okay at least about his health situation moving forward. How much of a difference maker could he be in the offense? And we've talked about the Traylon Burks dynamic of this. I feel a lot better about Burks and Hopkins on the outside than I do Burks and Chris Moore on the outside, or Burks and NWI, anything like that. I mean, it's not close to me that way. So I think that the what he could do for your offense, I think, is really, really good. Like, if you're getting, I said it last week, 75% of what he used to be. Like 75% of what Hopkins used to be is still pretty darn good, and I think it could help this team a whole lot. And I don't know exactly what it means in terms of the division race. Like, I don't know that I would put the Titans as the AFC South favorite if they landed DeAndre Hopkins over Jacksonville. But I know this, like, it's not an unwinnable division already with the way that their roster is set up. Like, Jacksonville's good. Jacksonville's going to be the favorite. Jacksonville also has a number one schedule, and we'll see how they handle that. But, like, with Hopkins coming in, like, it's absolutely a winnable division for the Tennessee Titans, even if they're not the quote-unquote favorite heading into it.
Yeah, I think they could win it without him. I think their chances get better with him. How much better? I don't know. Like adding DeAndre Hopkins. Well, Rob, if he's healthy, then that might be a game or two. That might swing you a win or two next year if he's healthy. But I think I would still give Jacksonville a slight edge. But yeah, I think it's pretty close already. If you're going to get a good version of DeAndre Hopkins, then that absolutely changes things. It makes things a lot better for Treylon Burks, and it just balances the field for you like you aren't really able to do right now.
Josh on the text line says, I say the Titans would be stupid not trying to get him. Sign him to a 2-year deal. Hashtag if he's not hurt. This from Josh on the text line. So, Rob, congratulations. You've started something wonderful on the text line here today. Looking forward to that. Going to be a whole lot of talking about if he's healthy.
Oh, man. You've given us a theme for the show today, Rob. Appreciate it. It's Monday, and we needed some help.
We needed some help, and Rob has come through in the clutch here on the program.
I'm in Hattiesburg and miserable. I need your help, Rob.
Is Hattiesburg comparable to Mount Juliet or Hendersonville like we were told last week on the text line?
That's probably about right.
Oh, good. That's good. Well, lots of chain restaurants to eat from there. Good. Very good stuff.
Absolutely.
No Applebee's.
Well, there is no Applebee's. We did learn that last week thanks to Mike Wilson.
Yeah. Mike Wilson has been, they are making, like one of the guys the other day when the rain delay was like, hey, everybody, we could order some Applebee's in.
Uber Eats it. Get down here.
There's like a sign in someone's yard, nearest Applebee's. It was like 33 miles in Laurel, Mississippi.
Oh, yeah.
Like a big sheet had a big sign about that in someone's yard here. It's amazing.
33 miles, not a bad drive. Just get down the road a little bit. Not a bad drive at all. Joe, I was thinking over the weekend, and the likelihood of the scenario I'm about to paint for you happening is very small. But I did allow my mind to wander. Let's just say, for sake of argument, Titans find a way to come to a deal with Hopkins, and they either outbid New England or they end up with the best deal, and Hopkins comes here. Like, thinking about the best case scenario for this offense, and very rarely do you see a best case scenario for an offense work out, but I was thinking about it. Tannehill's completely healthy, and he's back to just being Ryan Tannehill. Derrick Henry hasn't lost a step from last year. He's still the same guy. The offensive line improvements that you think you've made play out, and maybe you don't have an elite offensive line, but you've got a solid offensive line. And then Hopkins comes in and he plays 14, 15 games for you. Like, to me, that's pretty close to best case scenario of what the Titans offense could be. And then you factor in a Okonkwo taking a jump in year 2 and Treylon Burks taking a jump in year 2. Like, how good is that offense, do you think? Like, in terms of, as you're looking around the AFC, we know the quarterback conversation in the AFC and some of the offenses the Titans are going to have to defend. How good is that version of the offense that I just laid out to you if the Titans end up landing DeAndre Hopkins and other things that they're banking on to work out actually do work out?
Yeah, well, if the offensive line's actually good, decent, good, pretty good, with all those things, that's a dramatically, I think, better offense than last year. And a lot of this is Tim Kelly. Tim Kelly, back being an OC, he had some very, very productive offenses when he was OC. He did Deshaun Watson's best seasons when he was OC. How much of that was him? I mean, if that's a sign of things to come with him, with different players, at his disposal, and that offensive line is pretty good, then yeah, I think it's a much better offense than last year to go with a good, maybe very good, maybe very, very good defense.
Yeah, and then you start to think about, all right, well, what does that mean? Like, if you get your offense from, I mean, let's be honest, the offense last year was horrible, and it just was. I mean, go look at the points they scored. It was horrible. last year. And that's the idea if you're an offense, is to put up points. I know groundbreaking news on the show here today. The offense is needed to score points if they can stay healthy.
If you're healthy.
Yes. Really need that thrown out there. But, I mean, if the offense plays out close to the scenario we just painted out, like, I feel good about the defense and the way that they've constructed things there. Also, added to that, I feel really good about Vrabel and Shane Bowen and that that combination of coaching on the defensive side of the ball too. You know, how good could this team be? I mean, we've talked about the schedule part of it, right? I mean, you're playing the NFC South. You're playing, after that first 7 weeks, you got a schedule that on paper, and I know how dangerous that game is to play, but on paper is pretty easy looking at it for the Titans heading into this year. How good could this team be if this all plays out the way they think it's going to play out? I mean, we were talking a lot of this offseason before the draft about which direction the Titans could go, be that a rebuild, be that running it back. Obviously, they've drafted Will Levis, but Tannehill is the quarterback right now. You got Derrick Henry coming back. The Kevin Byard situation hopefully is behind them at this point. And if you end up landing DeAndre Hopkins, all of a sudden there's a path there to the offense being good. And if the offense is good, I think the defense is going to be good enough. I like the Titans' chances in the AFC South at that point.
Yeah, well, a few more weeks, we'll have to make space for the Lombardi. There
is a route that they could take.
We talk ourselves into that, but well, look, and that's the thing. Speaking of the schedule, I mean, there's this nonsensical Junie argument about Will Levis playing. He may be right that they're not a playoff team and they're not very good, but it's like, he's talking about how great the AFC is. Well, that's true. The AFC is loaded. Let's look at the Titans' schedule. Let's look at who they play week after week after week, because they have the NFC South on their schedule this year to go with their own division, which is Cheeks. I mean, that's where it's just hard to look at the Titans and think they're going to be some 5-win team. If they are, well, at some point play Levis. But I think it's more likely with their schedule, and if some of these things that you're talking about break the right way, that they win a lot more games than most of the NFL expects them to win.
Well, and to that point, I mean, yes, the AFC is loaded on paper. The AFC was loaded on paper last year. There's going to be at least 1 or 2 teams that we don't expect much from that come out of nowhere and play really well and look good next year. And there's going to be 1 or 2 teams that we think are going to be really good heading into the season where it doesn't play out that way. I mean, it happens every year. Look no further than the Denver Broncos a year ago. I mean, it happens all the time. And the other part of that, Joe, is yes, the AFC is probably going to be pretty good, and there's a lot of good quarterback play, and it's going to be loaded. But in terms of the regular season, and you can worry about the playoffs when you get there, but the regular season, like, your job is to worry about your division if you're the Titans. And I don't view Jacksonville as like some unslayable giant in the AFC South heading into this year. It's not like it's the 04 Indianapolis Colts heading into this thing.
No, but hey, maybe they'll get Colts-like hype. Keith from Bowling Green with a great point. Vrabel is a good coach if he can stay healthy.
Well, got to make sure that he's healthy on the sideline over there. There's no question about that. 615-737-1025. We got more of your thoughts to get to on the Titans / DeAndre Hopkins front. We will do that coming up next. This is Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Every Wednesday at 8:30. Join Robby and Rexrode for The Choice is Yours.
2 sports questions, 2 non-sports questions.
They'll answer a couple of questions about life and sports. The Choice is Yours is built by Jarrett Companies. You have a choice. So when you have a need for site and utility work, fire protection, concrete and asphalt services, the choice is simple. It's Jarrett Companies. For more, visit JarrettCompaniesInc.com. The choice is yours. Wednesdays at 8:30 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hear that? That's Jeff Anderson. He's that guy in your neighborhood that's always making improvements to his house, his car, his yard. On your street, it's about keeping up with the Andersons. One thing you don't know is Jeff's tools are from Harbor Freight. Tools at great prices. That circular saw right there, you wouldn't believe the deal he got. Just think, when you're keeping up with the Andersons, you're saving money. Whatever you do, do it for less at Harbor Freight.
Genesis Diamonds has the lowest interest rates on the planet because we never stop thinking about our customers. Right now, you can get 0 interest financing on any purchase. Beautiful tennis bracelets or 5-stone rings starting at only $35 a month. Those 4-carat lab-grown diamond stud earrings, just $115 a month. Get Genesis low price, pay nothing down, and spread your payments over 5 years with 0 interest. Rings, pendants, bands, one-of-a-kind designer jewelry, pre-owned Rolex watches. Now through July 1st only. Only at Genesis Diamonds. Green Hills and Cool Springs. On approved credit, see store for details.
Music City will be rocking June 23rd through the 25th with a different sound. The sound of NASCAR.
Start your engine!
The Ally 400 is back at Nashville Superspeedway, and this year, it's a night race. NASCAR in Nashville. It's guitars and fast cars under the lights. Visit NashvilleSuperspeedway.com to get your tickets for the triple header weekend, including the Ally 400, Tennessee Lottery 250, and the Rackley Roofing 200 today.
Does this sound familiar? Did your agent provide excellent entertainment with their TikTok videos and constant social media posts about themselves while completely ignoring that you hired them to sell your home? Did they tell you how wonderful they were? How many followers they had? They probably never sold your home, but hey, they did get 15 likes on their selfies. Hashtag my clients love me. Don't let that happen to you. Google TJ Anderson Homes and see why the only likes we care about are our clients loving our service. Ask us about our prepay with TJ option and how it can save you thousands. TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty. Office number 615-432-2919.
You're listening to Robby and Rexrode, presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Tune in for Nashville Sounds baseball tomorrow at 6:35 on 94.9 The Fan. Sounds taking on the Gwinnett Stripers, the AAA affiliate of the Atlanta Braves. Sounds baseball on 94.9 The Fan, presented by 312 Pizza Company, Farm Bureau Health Plans, and Family Leisure. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Michelle Knezovic here with you, talking Titans on this Monday morning, taking your thoughts on our text line. Our friend Uncle Fingus on the text line says, do you think the fact that Deshaun Watson struggled in Cleveland last year is a testament to how good Tim Kelly is? Looks like he's washed without him. I'll hang up and listen. This from Uncle Fingus on the text line.
Might be taking a little bit of a leap there. I think without watching a ton of Cleveland Browns football last year, sadly, I would guess that there was some rust and all this stuff that has happened around Deshaun Watson, created by Deshaun Watson, but you think about that entire situation, and I'm not shocked it wasn't just come right out and you're an all-pro again. I don't know that you want to sit there and say, like, Tim Kelly is the sole reason Deshaun Watson was great in Houston, or even the primary, right? I just think you might be making a little bit of a leap there. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with Watson moving forward. But I also think you can't give Tim Kelly no credit for that. I mean, it's the best numbers of his career were with Kelly as OC. So clearly Kelly, built an offense that accentuated what he does well. And that's what you're supposed to do. He has a very different kind of quarterback here and different. He has a great running back here. Didn't have it there. Totally different situation. If you're a good OC, you adjust to what you have. He clearly had some good stuff going there to help Deshaun Watson. But I think, it's players, right? It's players. It's the Jimmies and Joes.
It is. Now, I will say, obviously, the last year that Deshaun Watson actually played and was on the field in Houston with Tim Kelly as the offensive coordinator, he looked really good. He was playing really well out there. And I would add to that, I know we joke about my guy Davis Mills a lot, but when he took over that year and as he got through the year, Davis Mills had some pretty good games, including against the Tennessee Titans. And we've talked with John McClain about that and what that reflects on, on Tim Kelly as well before. So there are things you can point to with Tim Kelly that I think are cause for optimism if you're a Titans fan. No question about it.
Yeah, for sure. No, Davis Mills, the football he played with Kelly as OC was much better than the football he played last year. So yeah, we're gonna really find out here, in a different place. And Tim Kelly was. It's also worth pointing out. Tim Kelly was on the staff last year.
Yep.
So I guess if you want to, blame anybody who was part of the Titans offense last year, you can. He was passing game coordinator. They didn't have much of a passing game. Couldn't block. They couldn't get open. You can chicken and egg the coaching playing thing, good, bad, however you want to do it. But yeah, I mean, like going back to Uncle Fingers, I think that's probably a little bit of a leap you're making there.
I got a text that says, I think the offense takes a jump simply because not having predictable Todd Downing calling plays. That's from a texter on the text line. We've heard that word used a lot, right? Predictable with the Titans. And we were talking with someone last week, I don't even remember who it was, who talked about the Titans maybe being a little bit more unpredictable this year. Do you remember who that was? I can't remember anything we talked about last week.
Wait, what now?
We talked with somebody last week about, and they said the Titans would not be as predictable this year. It doesn't matter. Anyway.
Was it Herndon?
I think it was Herndon. That's exactly who it was. So there you go. Mike Herndon last week from paulkarski.com.
You're not allowed to be old brain.
Well,
like me.
That's just,
that's my role in the show.
I know. I've just totally taken over your spot here on this program. But how big of a problem do you think that actually was, and how much of a focus do you think that currently is for the Tennessee Titans to be less predictable on offense heading into this year?
I do think that, I think some of the quote predictability, I mean, it's like, when Derrick Henry gets stuffed, like, God, that was so predictable. And then when you try some goofy play, it's like, oh, just give the ball to Derrick Henry.
There's that.
Like whatever doesn't work is the bad thing. It was bad. But that said, I think the predictability with Downing at times was in personnel groupings. Like, now granted, like Cody Hollister would come into some of those packages, and they're running the football. Now, granted, there were some times, I mean, Hollister had like a couple big plays because they tried to be unpredictable out of those formations. So it wasn't like 100%, but I did think that there were some personnel groupings that were a little bit of a tell at times. Now, look, I also think some of that is like last year, Chikakonkwo, for example. Chikakonkwo as a rookie, and this kind of happened before at times with Firkser. It's like you're kind of telling us what you're doing if he's on the field. This year, if Chikakonkwo is taking a step as an overall player, as an inline player at that position, it's going to be easier to be unpredictable. I will also say that based on what we saw in minicamp, I like the variety and some of the different things they're doing with people, and I think that will be an emphasis to not tip your hand as much as they did under Downing.
So let me ask you this, because we'll see if the Hopkins situation plays out and if it works out for the Titans and if he ends up there and whatnot. But I think the fact that they're interested in him is interesting to me, because that tells me that they believe, obviously, that they need some help at wide receiver. So let's say it doesn't work out with Hopkins and he ends up signing in New England or wherever else, and it's not with the Titans. Do you expect the Titans to keep looking around to add help at the wide receiver position? I mean, does interest in DeAndre Hopkins, I guess a better way to ask it, does interest in him tell you that the Titans know that their receiving core right now is not good enough?
Well, I think it has to say that to some extent, right? I suppose they could, answer that by saying, no, we are very happy with the room. This is just a rare opportunity. How could you not go after a guy like D-Hop? No, but yeah, I mean, I think you have to look at it like it's an acknowledgement that they need help. To answer your first question, though, I don't necessarily expect that, because there's just not much out there. I don't think, I mean, you could go out there and Chris Moore is that, right? Yep. Chris Moore is a guy who's done some stuff and he can come in and help. I mean, there's just so little out there, unless we're talking about a trade. And I don't know what that would be at this point. But so I think that this is kind of more of a special situation. But yeah, I don't see how you could look at it and not take it as some acknowledgement, which is good, because I think they needed to acknowledge what we all see.
I would agree. Now, that also makes me think about the contract. Like, if this is – because I agree with you. I look at what else is out there right now, and I don't know that any of it's really worth pursuing on the Titans front, which is why the Hopkins thing is really interesting to me. I also think maybe because of that, if I'm Amy Adams Strunk or if I'm Vrabel and Carthon looking at a contract part of this, I'm maybe willing to stretch that dollar a little further because of it. and obviously he wouldn't tell Hopkins this, but behind closed doors when you're talking about what it's going to take to land him, me personally, spending money that doesn't belong to me, I'm a little bit more willing to stretch that dollar just based on the situation right now. Like, you're obviously still quote-unquote going for it this year if Ryan Tannehill is your quarterback and Derrick Henry's your running back, and you do still have Kevin Byard on the roster. So because of all that, I don't know why you wouldn't maximize your shot this year, if that makes any sense. I'm more willing to stretch the dollar that way.
No, I agree. I mean, this team could look very different with a second-year quarterback and totally different makeup, really, on offense if 22 isn't there. And, I mean, it could be like, it's hard to look at next year and not think that there's some step back unless things happen that we don't expect. And the projections are wrong about where they're going with the roster. So this is kind of, and again, I don't know with Byard. I mean, TD said last week he thinks, Byard's here next year, and that may be true, but it's possible. It's possible this is last year too. And if that's the case, this is kind of like a last run. So if that's how you look at it, then yeah, you got a chance to add someone who could actually really make a difference at your weakest position. Then I think maybe you get that checkbook out.
615-737-1025, our phone number, 615-737-1025. We'll take your thoughts on our phone and text lines, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. We'll continue to discuss the DeAndre Hopkins situation and the Titans coming up a little bit later in the show. Corey Curtis will join us at 8 o'clock, so we'll get into all that with him as well. Coming up next, there is a player in the National Hockey League who is a 40-goal scorer who may be available and who may also be interested in the Nashville Predators. We'll get into that coming up next. Should the Predators target this player via trade this offseason? More on that next. This is Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
All the big plays.
Ball right to score. Yoshi sets up Matt Duchesne.
All the big stories. For the Predators, are you holding on to what you got, or are you selling some guys off? All in one place. We are Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3.
Green flag is in the air.
It may not happen that way every game.
His shot stopped.
Gotta play better, gotta coach better.
TD Tigers.
The Game and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
If you're hiring, it can feel like you're trying to find a needle in a haystack. You can hope the right person comes along, or you can just use ZipRecruiter. And now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. In fact, ZipRecruiter has helped a lot of business owners find their needle in a haystack, like Marco, president of operations at Telly Tires and Auto Centers. Because Telly Tires has grown a lot in the last few years, Marco needed to hire everyone from a receptionist to a store manager to a head mechanic.
ZipRecruiter helps me find all the right people, even the most difficult jobs to fill. ZipRecruiter helps me keep my business running.
Take it from Marco and millions of other businesses who've used ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter can help you find the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/RADIO. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
Pro Paint Days are here at Lowe's. Now through June 16th, Lowe's MVPs members can start earning 20% back in paint rewards via Lowe's e-gift card when you spend $100 or more on qualifying paint purchases. Stock up on top paint brands like our new and exclusive HGTV Home by Sherwin-Williams Spec Right Pro Interior Paint. Lowe's knows pros. Exclusions, restrictions, and more terms apply. See Lowe's.com/L/pro loyalty terms. Subject to change.
Make a fast break to FanDuel during the NBA playoffs. Visit FanDuel.com/play.
21 plus in select states. First online real money wager only. $10 deposit required. Refund issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under an agreement with Kansas Star Casino, LLC. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit FanDuel.com/RG in Colorado, Iowa, Michigan, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Illinois, Tennessee, and Virginia. 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT-STEP to 53342 in Arizona. 1-888 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut. 1-800-9-WITH-IT in Indiana. 1-800-522-4700 or visit KESGamblingHelp.com in Kansas. 1-877-770-STOP in Louisiana. GamblingHelplineMA.org or call 1-800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts. Visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369 in New York. 1-800-522-4700 in Wyoming or visit 1-800-GAMBLER.net in West Virginia.
Your Game Center update.
I'm Michelle Knezovic. The Tennessee Volunteers' Omaha hopes stay alive with a late win yesterday in Hattiesburg, beating Southern Miss 8-4. First pitch is scheduled for 5 p.m. today between Tennessee and Southern Miss. The winner will head to Omaha. DeAndre Hopkins visited with the Tennessee Titans this weekend, and Rich Eisen says he doesn't know if Tennessee is the place to be.
We'll see what they want to pay him, because it doesn't appear that if you're going ring shopping, Tennessee is the spot to go get a ring. Super Bowl ring. Obviously, as we know, Nash Vegas is the bachelorette party capital of the world. So rings have already been brought. You know.
Broadway.
I'm talking about Super Bowl ring.
And you're saying Tennessee is the place to go?
It is not the place to go shopping for a Super Bowl ring. I
must have misheard you.
No, that is not the place you want to go ring shopping.
The Denver Nuggets with a chance to close out the series tonight and win their first ever NBA championship. Game 5 will tip off at 7:30 p.m. tonight. This report is presented by the law offices of Amanda J. Gentry. I'm Michelle Knezovic for 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
For more, follow us on Twitter at 102.5 The Game or visit thegamenashville.com. Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne. Broadcasting on Alexa.
I appreciate that.
And other smart speakers. 102.5 and 106.3.
And the score!
You can run different offenses.
The doors on the board.
Off the field, on the field.
The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Mixing sports and a little bit of fun.
This is fun!
On your morning drive. This is Robby and Rexrode. With Robby Stanley and Joe Rexrode. Presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty. On Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's showtime.
Hour number 2, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Michelle Knezovic here with you on this Monday morning. Taking your thoughts on our phone and text lines, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. We'll have Corey Curtis coming up at 8 o'clock, so looking forward to that. So, Joe, we've discussed a lot of the plan for the Nashville Predators this offseason. Barry Trotz coming in, Andrew Burnett now coming in as head coach. And what do you do with this roster as you move forward? You got 7 picks coming up in the top 83 picks in the draft here in a couple of weeks. You got 13 picks overall in the draft. They've created cap space for themselves with the selling off that they did at the deadline. So options is the word that we keep coming back to with Barry Trotz and what he's got at his disposal here. And we've talked about, could they be a player in free agency? Could they use draft capital that they have to move up in the draft? Or a third scenario that we've talked about, Joe, is are there teams out there that have younger players that are either number one, cap strapped and have to have players come available that way, or number two, cannot get a deal worked out with some of their younger RFA forwards that the Predators could target? And it looks like there is a chance that there could be a younger restricted free agent forward that could potentially become available at some point this offseason. And I'm speaking of Alex DeBrincat, currently of the Ottawa Senators. Now, Alex DeBrincat is 25 years old. He began his career with Chicago. He was traded to Ottawa last offseason and scored 27 goals last year, 66 points with the Senators. He has scored 40 goals twice before in his career, including in 21-22 for just a terrible Chicago team. Scored 41 goals, had 78 points. Was one of the few bright spots on that team a couple of years ago for the Chicago Blackhawks. And Pierre LeBrun of The Athletic put this out there over the weekend, and here was just a snippet of the piece that Pierre LeBrun put out there. Quote, "My understanding is that Alex DeBrincat's camp, led by agent Jeff Jackson, has given Senators GM Pierre Dorian a short list of preferred destinations in case Ottawa decides to go the trade route with the pending RFA winger. Dorian doesn't have to trade DeBrincat to one of those teams. He can trade him anywhere he wants. But if the idea is to maximize the return on a trade by having DeBrincat signed to a contract extension as part of it, obviously it makes sense to play ball. Think about the Matthew Tkachuk situation from last year. And then LeBron goes on to say, I don't know for sure which teams are on DeBrincat's list, but I would bet it includes the likes of Nashville, Vegas, and Dallas. Then says everybody wants to play in Vegas. I wonder about a team like Detroit. It wouldn't surprise me if the Red Wings would be of interest to DeBrincat as well. But LeBron did include Nashville, Vegas, and Dallas. Now, one thing stands out to me about that. All those states are no state income tax there. So that's part of the equation there, I'm sure. But what do you make of the idea of maybe Alex DeBrincat being available this offseason if the Senators can't come to a deal with him? They've got an ownership situation going on right now that is complicating things even further. And if he is available and the Predators are on his list like LeBron suspects that they could be, how attractive is an Alex DeBrincat to Barry Trotz, do you think, this offseason?
I would have to think there'd be, some raised eyebrows there. It's interesting phrasing, by Pierre there. He would bet it includes the likes of Nashville, Vegas, and Dallas, like you said. So, in Vegas, yeah, like he says, everyone wants to play in Vegas. You mentioned the tax. Does it also have just something to do with like being in warm weather?
Maybe.
Is that something that's been expressed? But then he also says, I wonder about a team like Detroit.
Right.
Wouldn't surprise me if the Red Wings would be of interest to him. So I don't know, like, if this, is it. I still don't know how much this is based in like a discussion without seeing the list, or there's some indications of that, or is it really just like kind of guessing? But yeah, if you're Nashville, he could help you a lot. You talk about bringing him in here, you might be talking about different kind of expectations for this team next year.
Well, I don't know. Look, I don't know what's going through Pierre LeBrun's mind as he writes this piece. I find it difficult to believe that he would specifically throw team names out there if he hadn't at least heard that those would be possibilities, like Nashville, Vegas, and Dallas. Now, again, he says he doesn't know for sure which teams are on DeBrincat's list, but I doubt he's just pulling Nashville, Vegas, and Dallas out of thin air, would be my guess.
Right. Yeah, so, look, I think, that's the thing, like how much is he worth right now? Like you said, he's only 25, very productive player. Is he the type of player that you kind of drop everything and say, "Oh, okay, this changes things." Is there any sort of red flag with DeBrincat?
Well, it's interesting you say that because, Joe, you'll recall we were having a discussion very similar to this about a year ago. About a year ago, we had a discussion very similar to this involving Matthew Tkachuk and whether or not the Predators should pursue Matthew Tkachuk. Would the Predators be on Matthew Tkachuk's list as he was trying to get out of Calgary? And ultimately, we know what happened. He ended up signing with Florida, and Vegas was on the list. St. Louis was on the list. I think Tampa Bay, Colorado, and one other one, Carolina, was there. But Jeremy Rutherford, who is connected with the Blues, and obviously Tkachuk's family has a history in St. Louis based on his father playing there. He's kind of in with the Tkachuks. Jeremy Rutherford has said both on our show and a couple of months ago on the Predators radio broadcast with Nick Keyser that Tkachuk at one point did consider Nashville. So Nashville was on his thought process, on his radar. I would not put Matthew Tkachuk and Alex DeBrincat on the same tier. Like, Tkachuk to me is 100% that kind of game-changing player. Alex DeBrincat is a goal scorer, a pure goal scorer, and there's nothing wrong with that. The Predators could use a goal scorer. He scored 40 twice in his career, and you got to keep in mind, in 2020/2021, he scored 32, but that was a shortened season. He scored 32 in 52 games. So, he's a guy that's got 40, 50 goal talent. There's no question about that. Now, he's not much of a playmaker. The assists don't really pile up, but you're not paying Alex DeBrincat to be a playmaker. You're playing him to finish. So it's not the same guy. Like, they're not the same player out there, but it's a different way to go about it. Like, Alex DeBrincat is a legitimate top 6 finisher of the puck. And the Predators certainly don't have enough of those. They could use more of those. I would be really interested to see what his price tag looks like, because I agree with, like, if you're Ottawa and you're wanting to, and you end up, coming to the realization that you're not going to work out a long-term deal with him and you've got to trade him, it does make a lot of sense to play ball with him in terms of trading him where he wants to go, just because of the contract extension that would then go along with that and the return you could get. So that's the other thing. Like, if you're the Predators, like, it wouldn't be just trading for him. You would then be signing him to a contract extension after that.
Yeah, I mean, you're committing to him being a central part of your team. So it's gotta work on every level. But I mean, the pure goal scorer is not something that's been in these parts too much here. So I mean, I think there's reason for interest, and then of course the question is what's coming, what's going to them. What is this? Is this the goalie trade?
I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, DeBrincat, I watch him play, and he's really good. And I mean, last year, even, I would say from a statistical standpoint, was probably a bit of a disappointment with him. I mean, it sounds funny to say that because you'll say, 27 goals. That's not bad. But I mean, you're talking about a guy that, like I said, has 40, 50 goal talent. So he played in all 82 games last year, and he had 27 goals. And look, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I watched a ton of Ottawa Senators hockey last year. I mean, when you start to think about and list off most irrelevant franchises in sports, it doesn't take very long to get to them on the list.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't watch a ton of DeBrincat last year, but I have watched a ton of him over his career, given the fact that he played in Chicago. And, I mean, look, Predators fans should know firsthand, I mean, the guy's dangerous, and he could be a really big weapon for this team. What would it cost to get him, especially if there's a contract extension involved with it? I don't know. And also, like, what does the money look like with him? He is 25, so he's a younger guy that you could sign him to an extension, and just because maybe your team's not ready to compete for a cup next year, he could still be a part of the solution as you move forward here. But how much money are you willing to give to yet another guy that, by the way, is a winger and is not a centerman? So how much does that factor into it if you're Trotz as well?
Right. And last year, bad team. So player plays for a team that bad. You have to. Sometimes you're just like, there just wasn't much going on. But does it speak to some kind of step back or a concern or whatever that the production went where it went?
I mean, it's like I said, the Ottawa Senators. They weren't great. They did get Claude Giroux, and Claude Giroux is they've got Brady Tkachuk there. So, I mean, they've got some pieces, but they're certainly not a juggernaut by any stretch of the imagination. So I don't know. I mean, if your down year is 66 points and 27 goals, you'd probably still take that if you're the Predators. But the money that he's going to want, you need him scoring 40, 45 goals, somewhere in that neighborhood. 615-737-1025, our phone number. So we've thrown it out there. Alex DeBrincat, maybe potentially on the move this offseason in Ottawa. Maybe the Predators on the list for potential trade destinations that DeBrincat has given the Ottawa Senators. Would you consider it if you're Barry Trotz and the Predators? How serious would you be about the pursuit of Alex DeBrincat? We'll take your thoughts on that. 615-737-1025. We'll continue that conversation next. This is Robby and Rexrode, 102.5-106.3, The Game.
The NBA's best battle for the ultimate prize.
NBA champions.
Every big bucket.
Three-pointers right side is good.
Every big stop.
The steal rejected.
We are your home for the NBA Finals. Presented by Superbook Sports. Hear every game on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Bring that big bet energy this summer with Superbook Sports. Michelle Knezovic here for Superbook Sports, and you got to use them. It's my official sports book, should be yours because it is the most trusted name in the sports betting world. Right now, if you use promo code KNEZ, K-N-E-Z, you can score up to $250 with their first bet bonus. Win or lose, they'll match your first bet up to $250 with the promo code KNEZ, K-N-E-Z. We got the NBA Finals tonight, Game 5 in Denver. The Nuggets a chance to close it out. They're a 9-point favorite. I'm going to take Miami plus the 9. I think that this game is close. And listen, Eric Spoelstra is 13-9 in elimination games. So if you feel confident in the Heat, they're plus 300 on the money line. So that's some pretty good value right there. Simply visit superbook.com for terms and conditions, or you can download the Superbook Tennessee app in app stores. Enter the promo code KNEZ, KNEZ, and you'll get $250 courtesy of Superbook Sports. Got a gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789.
The FedEx Cup playoffs start in Memphis at the FedEx St. Jude Championship. Come out to TPC Southwind August 9th through the 13th and watch the PGA Tour's top players battle to make it through Memphis. Enjoy Memphis at its finest with specialty cocktails, local eats, a vibrant atmosphere, and much more. 2 kids 15 and under admitted free with a ticketed adult. Daily grounds and upgraded tickets are available now at FedExChampionship.com.
Hey, are you seeking relief? Maybe you just want to enhance your day or night. Did you know there are legal THC products available right here in Tennessee? Yeah, really. You can have legal THC products shipped directly to the comfort of your home. Yes, comfort in cannabis is only a website away. Visit greentreescompany.com. That's Green Trees with a Z, and change your life today.
This is Evan Bass for the Tennessee Men's Clinic. For most of us, sex is a big part of our relationship. So when something like erectile dysfunction starts affecting intimacy, it can be a real problem. But what you may not know is that ED doesn't just affect you, it can be tough on your partner as well. Plus, if you have ED, you know how it can make you feel. The truth is, we see a lot of guys who have depression, frustration, and even relationship issues because of ED. But we don't want ED to impact you or the one you love anymore. The Tennessee Men's Clinic tackles ED. Our urologists and medical providers take a comprehensive approach and have treated thousands of men with treatments that are successful in nearly 90% of cases. Even if your hormones are off, or if pills, wave therapy, or other treatments have left you hanging, the Tennessee Men's Clinic will work hard to help you get your sex life back, perhaps performing like you haven't in a long time. So call us. Your first appointment includes blood work and a medical consult. Call 615-208-9090 or go to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. We have 2 offices in Midtown and Franklin.
Visit our website to learn more, including side effects. Treatments extra, results vary.
What is that?
My mortgage rate detector. I made it out of an old altimeter alarm. With Navy Federal Credit Union's no refi rate drop option, we could get a lower rate without refinancing our mortgage. So I'm keeping a close eye on mortgage rates. They're dropping. Call Navy Federal.
Buy a home, and if rates drop, you could lower your rate and save thousands. Navy Federal Credit Union. Our members are the mission. Insured by NCUA. Terms and conditions apply. Equal housing lender. Loan subject to approval and eligibility requirements. Learn more at NavyFederal.org.
The Big Machine Music City Grand Prix is back in Nashville August 4th through 6th and is a must-see experience that has something for everyone to enjoy. 102.5 The Game and 94.9 The Fan has all your coverage leading to the race, including driver interviews with Chase McCabe, ticket giveaways, and much more.
Anyone want to tell me what happened? Did you miss any of today's show?
It's okay. It's fine. Don't worry.
Subscribe to the Robby and Rexrode podcast on Apple, Spotify, and other podcast platforms, or by going to thegamenashville.com.
All right, I'll give it a shot.
Good morning. Good morning. You're locked into Robby and Rexrode, presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty.
I have the radio on. I'm listening to
102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game, presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty, where their advanced pay-by-TJ option can save you thousands when selling your home. We are streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. Our video streaming brought to you by Superbook, live from our 102.5 The Game studio, brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Throwing it out there, if you're Barry Trotz and the Predators, would you be interested in Alex DeBrincat if he becomes available from Ottawa? Pierre LeBrun putting it out there that DeBrincat's camp has given the Senators a short list of preferred destinations in case a trade happens this offseason with the pending RFA winger. And this is the quote from Pierre LeBrun. Quote, "I don't know for sure which teams are on DeBrincat's list, but I would bet it includes the likes of Nashville, Vegas, and Dallas. And I wonder about a team like Detroit. Wouldn't surprise me if the Red Wings will be of interest to DeBrincat," end quote from Pierre LeBrun there. So Nashville included on the list that Pierre LeBrun believes could be a part of DeBrincat's interest there. Taking your thoughts on that, 615-737-1025. Now, Joe, in terms of what it could cost, and I had Adam Vingan sent me this over the break in terms of an article from the Hockey News, and it goes through like different destinations for DeBrincat and trade packages that some of these teams could put together. And, with some teams, it's like a couple of prospects and a couple of picks. With other teams, it's a roster player. With the Predators, it's 1-for-1. It's Alex DeBrincat and UC Saros, and that's the trade that the Hockey News has put together. So then the question becomes, like, if you're Barry Trotz, would you do that? Like, is Alex DeBrincat the right guy to trade your goaltender for? That's the question that comes up then. What do you make of that the Hockey News put out there? Just 1-for-1, straight up, DeBrincat for UC Saros.
It's interesting. I wondered if it would be too much different from just 1-for-1 on that. Bingen also texting me, by the way, that DeBrincat's from Michigan, which would explain, I guess, in theory, the Red Wings' interest. But yeah, that's the thing. It's like look, I like a proven player, proven producer, young, someone that can be a centerpiece of what you're trying to do offensively. I like that better than picks and uncertainties. So in that way, I'm with D-Mace on this. D-Mace is staunchly against trading Saros at all. I mean, to me, it's like you got to have something what you're getting back. Is that enough? Could you get DeBrincat and a pick, DeBrincat and a prospect? Or that's the thing. I mean, to me, it seems like you should get more than that, but I understand that I may be unrealistic on that.
I'm not gonna outright say no that I wouldn't do it. I would think about it, but I was talking with Adam too. If I'm trading UC Saros, I want a centerman. Like that would be why I'm trading Saros, is to have somebody come in that could be a number one option for you at center, or a really, really high-end winger, one of the two. And is Alex DeBrincat a really, really high-end winger? I mean, you could make the argument. He's scored 40 a couple of times. He's 25 years old. Like I said, in 2021, he had 32 goals in 52 games. So he's right around like a 40, 45 goal guy. Is that super high end? The goal scoring part of it is, yes. Now the point total, I mean, his career high in points is 78, which is good, but you're talking about a guy that's not even a point per game player at that point. So I don't know. Like, I think a lot of like DeBrincat's value there depends on like the eye of the beholder. I'm not going to outright dismiss it. I will say, if I had my preference and it was just straight up 1-for-1 UC Saros, I would like for it to be a top end centerman rather than a winger.
Right, and Barry Trotz has talked many times about that, finding that centerman, right? I mean, it's so that's a priority. It's also, there's just some of this with DeBrincat. It's how, as much as there's a focus from the Preds, from Trotz, on offense and playing kind of a different style and taking the big swings, all that stuff, there's still the question of how Trotz and how Brunette, how they feel about DeBrincat fitting into everything. Because to me, if you're going to make a trade like this, if you're going to play your hand and move Saros and move on to the Askarov era, which is a gamble in itself, you got to make sure what you're getting back is going to be perfect and on every front. And that's what I don't know. I don't know how DeBrincat is viewed. I mean, when a guy gets moved like that, sometimes you wonder a little bit, right?
Yep.
I mean, it happens. Doesn't necessarily mean anything, but like, is he? How is he as a teammate? His responsibility, all these things that aren't as important for someone like him, but they still matter to some extent.
Well, I do remember when Chicago traded him, he was 24. So when the Blackhawks traded him, he was 24 years old. And I remember thinking, what are they doing? Like, I understand that they made it pretty clear heading into last year that they were going the rebuild route, right? But I mean, he's a guy that think about the different scenario where they keep him. Maybe they're not as bad as they were a year ago, but I mean, they were pretty bad with him. Like they could have been close to as bad as they were a year ago. And think about him with like Connor Bedard. Like that'd be pretty good. I mean, probably wouldn't.
They weren't bleeping the bed as well,
right? Like it may not have played out that way. It just the fact that they traded him when they did at his age was intriguing to me. And this situation is different. Like Ottawa, I don't think wants to trade him, but if he's not going to sign a long-term deal with you, like at some point you've got to maximize your value. And Ottawa, first off, Ottawa's got a tough time keeping free agents anyway, just based on the condition of their franchise right now. And then secondly, they have the ownership situation, and they got a couple different people trying to buy the Ottawa Senators after their previous owner passed away. Ryan Reynolds is one of them. Snoop Dogg is a part of a group that's in another one, so we'll see what happens and all that. But that's not resolved at this point, so I do wonder, DeBrincat I don't think is going to sign there, and how quickly do you pull the trigger on that? I mean, the Senators don't have to do it this offseason. They could wait to the deadline next year. I mean, there's several different ways it could play out, but I have a feeling he's going to be on the move at some point.
And they'd probably rather do it this offseason, right?
I would think so, just to get more value out of it, I would think. But,
well, it's certainly. I mean, it's an intriguing name. It's certainly not one you just dismiss. If everything fit, but what would Preds fans' reaction be if it's Saros straight up for DeBrincat and that's that?
Well, there's a couple on the text line that are like, I would do it, no questions asked. We have one on the text line that says, nope, not a 1-for-1. Need more for Ottawa if I'm trading Saros. He's an RFA, still got to pay him. If the ask is Saros, then I'm out. So it kind of split down the middle. Matt in Mount Juliet says, DeBrincat's not a center, and he only has 2 seasons with 40-plus goals. No thanks. Not a 1-for-1 trade of Saros at least. Now, again, yes, he's not a center. He only has 2 seasons of 40-plus goals. Now, that's one more season than anybody else on your roster has of 40-plus goals. And, again, the other one was 32 and 52 games in 2021. So he's really got 3. But I hear you.
Yeah.
And by the way, I keep saying 32 and 52 games. It wasn't because he was hurt that they played 52 games. It was a shortened season.
Right. It was that shortened season.
Right.
Yeah.
So
it's interesting.
It's very interesting. But it highlights the point, Joe, whether it's DeBrincat or somebody else, this happens every offseason with a restricted free agent or a cap strap team. Somebody gets available and somebody becomes available out there that maybe you don't think about heading into the offseason, and the Predators are now at least positioned to entertain something like that if they want to.
Yeah, and it's part of what so many things that could happen this offseason, and maybe nothing that big will, but there's a lot of possibilities for Barry Trotz.
615-737-1025, our phone number. We'll continue this discussion. Got more of your thoughts on that. We'll also get into Game 3 coming up tonight between Tennessee and Southern Miss with a trip to Omaha on the line as well. All that coming up next. This is Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
The NFL offseason is in full swing, but you'll never miss any of the big news. Thanks to Yahoo's Charles Robinson.
They know that there's a chance that they're going to have to deal this guy.
He's one of the best insiders there is.
All of a sudden, he becomes a functional player who we thought was just trash.
Join Charles Robinson every Thursday morning at 8 on Robby and Rexrode, presented by the NFL Alumni Association on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, Ray Jeter here with Harness. Are you looking to take ownership in a position that will support your growth and development? We are an excavation and site utilities contractor. Several things set us apart from our competition, but we take the most pride in the professional development of our people. We have multiple openings for operators, pipe layers, and laborers. Our pay and benefits are second to none, including our 401k program. Apply today at selectharness.com. Harness LLC. Build people, move dirt.
Everyone is loving what Genesis Diamonds is doing right now with the lowest interest rates on the planet. Right now, get 0% interest for 5 years on any purchase. A handcrafted Tacori, A-Joppi, or Viraggio ring with a GIA certified diamond for only $100 a month. Wedding bands, color bands, fashion necklaces, just $40 a month. Pick any item, pay $0 down, and spread your payments over 5 years. Even the sales tax. Don't miss this amazing offer. All natural and lab-grown diamonds included. Now through July 1st only. At Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs. On approved credit, see store for details.
Can I help? Who's next?
Tom's part-time barista is now a full-time actor.
Oh, you didn't hear. He got the part on Broadway. Yeah, great for him, bad for our finicky cold brew tap.
Now he needs a star understudy to fill his open role.
And he made the best grande triple shot with oat milk caramel.
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. We instantly connect you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
One is a legendary NFL wide receiver.
I gotta be prepared. I have to be ready.
One is a legendary Nashville voice.
You don't have to rely on carrying the ball 250 to 300 times.
And the other has been a legendary trash talker on the playground since the 4th grade.
Nobody is a Pro Bowler on day one of rookie minicamp.
They are Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace. Weekdays at 11 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey Nashville, Trey Wingo here. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Michelle Knezvik here with you on this Monday morning. The Nashville Sounds are having a block party on Junior Gillum Way from 3 to 5 in honor of 615 Week this Saturday. There will be live music, inflatables, balloon artists, food trucks, hair braiding, and more. This is free before that night's game coming up this Saturday, so looking forward to that. Taking your thoughts, 615-737-1025. Joe, real quickly, just a couple of more thoughts on the DeBrincat trade scenario for the Preds. John from White House on the text line says, we talked a month or so ago about Saros for Nylander. Would you rather have DeBrincat or Nylander if you're giving up Saros? This from John in White House. That's an interesting one. What do you make of that one, Joe Rexrode?
I think I'd go DeBrincat. With Nylander, it's close, but I just feel like Nylander has really benefited from great players around him. And I know something you get into those discussions, and it's like when we have the quarterback discussion. Like, find me the all-time great quarterback who just had crap around him. Right. You know, you can go around and around on that, but I think just a little. I mean, just the Preds really haven't had a pure goal scorer.
No. I mean, especially a young one. I mean, it's been like Philip Forsberg is really good. I don't know that I would describe Philip Forsberg as a pure goal scorer, and DeBrincat is a pure goal scorer. There's no question about it. Josh on the text line says, I'm out on trading Saros unless it's Austin Matthews or Connor Bedard. We had another texter earlier talk about, reading a piece over the weekend about the Predators maybe trading their whole draft for Connor Bedard. It all sounds great. Mm-hmm. I don't think Chicago's doing it. That's the only holdup.
Yeah, because that's just what you want. Like too many people in your organization for spots in giving away the generational talent.
But hey, if they did it, would you trade your whole draft for Connor Bedard, Joe Rexrode?
Yes.
Yeah, I would too. I absolutely would.
Yep.
615-737-1025. Let's go to our 1025 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. And welcome in Weston in Nashville. Weston, good morning. Thanks for calling in.
Good morning, guys. So I'm hearing the idea of this trade Saros for a one-for-one type of deal. Now, I've seen the Predators, especially towards the end of last year, a lot of the young talent look good given the circumstances. And I feel like if we get DeBrincat in a way to where we don't have to trade Saros, I feel like we could go for it next year. But I feel like you have to keep Saros if you're going to be in that contention in the next 1 to 2 years. If not, we're going to be looking at another 4 or 5 years down the road before we're ready to compete. I'll hang up and listen.
Yeah, thanks for the call. Look, I hear what Weston's saying there. I don't. Let me put it to you this way: if the Preds somehow got Alex DeBrincat, and they didn't have to give up UC Saros, and all they had to give up was maybe some prospects and a couple of picks. Does that make the Predators a Stanley Cup contender next year? I don't think so. Like, I still think they're a couple of pieces away. Now, can Cody Glass grow into a legitimate top centerman? Can Tommy Novak repeat what he did last year? Does Andrew Burnett unlock something with Duchesne and Johansson in the last year or two of their deals? Like, all those things are questions that I don't know, and that could change kind of the timeline or the answer on some of this stuff. But my guess is, like, even right now, if you got DeBrincat and Saros wasn't involved, you're probably still not a Stanley Cup contender at that point. Now, you should be a playoff team. I mean, you should absolutely be a team that's competing for a playoff spot and making the playoffs, but I don't know that I would go Stanley Cup contender at that point. So, I don't know. I just, to me, you could be looking at 2, 3, 4 years away either way when it comes to either trading the goaltender or keeping the goaltender.
And I don't know that it's a lock either the other way, that it's 4 or 5 years. I mean, if you're trading Saros, to me, you're hoping that starting in the 24-25 season and maybe really taking off in 25-26, you have the next goalie ready to be really good. So if other good choices are made and young players are develop at the rate you hope they do, and then also you still have cap space and picks, prospects to work with, you could have a really good team in a couple years.
So something to keep an eye on.
In theory.
Yeah, something to keep an eye on out there. Look, we'll see. We're in the beginning stages of the Alex DeBrincat conversation, but I did find it interesting that, according to Pierre LeBrun, he believes Nashville could be on the list in terms of a preferred destination, so we'll see what happens on that front. Joe, Game 3 coming up tonight between Tennessee and Southern Miss. The winner going to the College World Series. Tennessee loses Game 1. They come back to win Game 2 yesterday after falling behind 4-0, and now are set up for Game 3 tonight at 5 o'clock down there in Hattiesburg where you are. What do you make of how the Vols look, how well-positioned they are heading into this game to win it and advance to Omaha for the second time in the past 3 years?
Well, it's very dangerous because, on paper now, this is huge advantage Vols going into today. I mean, they have Drew Beam starting. Chase Burns has only had to throw 1 inning. Seth Halverson only had to throw 40 pitches yesterday. They have a couple other bullpen arms who haven't, are available. So, like, they basically have anybody they want that they could trot out today. And meanwhile, Southern Miss is pretty much tapped out on their best pitchers. So, I mean, it's, on paper, it looks very good for Tennessee. The top 2 starters have gone for Southern Miss, and they do have now. Armistead is their big arm who was wild yesterday and got pulled quickly. And so, Scott Berry said yesterday, I told him, like, today, I mean, they probably want him to go a bunch today because Nico Mazza, the sophomore, is going to start for them. I mean, his numbers are not especially good. I mean, this is a guy who, Tennessee should be able to, to have success against him. He's sitting there with he's got a 4.13 ERA. I mean, it's not bad, but I mean, he's clearly the third best starter, and there's a drop off from their ace to the 2, and now 2 to 3 against a couple of their other best bullpen arms have been tapped out for sure. Storm, what the heck is his name? He basically won that first game for them. And I want to make sure I get his full name. I just know it was Storm, which is very fitting for this weekend. Justin Storm.
That's right.
Yeah, Justin Storm, 6'7" lefty. I mean, they just rode him all the way, which is probably what they want to do today with Armistead. But look, it's just, I mean, Tennessee. If Tennessee gets a good Drew Beam start, and then they did not get Andrew Lindsay's best. It looked like they weren't getting Chase Dolander's best, and then all of a sudden they get the lead and he locks it down. But if they get a good Drew Brees start, and now you can come with Chase Burns for several, you can do a lot of different things out of that. It's advantage Vols, but it's baseball, and you start thinking about that stuff, then you're in trouble. I mean, this is still home field matters. There's a lot of emotion here. It's a rowdy scene, and they're playing for this is their coach's last game if they lose today.
Well, and when they got down 4-0 yesterday, with the way that they were hitting the ball, or maybe more specifically the way they weren't hitting the ball, I thought they're in deep trouble. And then all of a sudden you get the 6-run inning, and then Dolander shuts it down after that. Can you get the bats going a little earlier today? We'll see if Tennessee can do that. But you're right, from a pitching standpoint, and this is why it's what we've talked about for weeks now with this team. Like when you get into a super regional and you got to go deep into with your pitching staff, Tennessee is well equipped to do it. Now, that doesn't mean it's going to play out well, but on paper, they're well equipped to do it heading into today. And like you said, Beam's available. You can go back to Chase Burns if you have to, and we'll see whether or not they can get it done. But I thought the 6-run response yesterday against Tanner Hall was pretty unbelievable, given the way Tennessee was hitting the ball before that.
It was. Blake Burke has, I would say, Blake Burke's had a little bit of a disappointing, sophomore season.
Yep.
And, man, that bomb was just a no doubt. And it was, as they said, as Scott Berry and Tanner Hall said, that was not like, that was a slider that was down. He was waiting on it, and he just got it in the right spot. And it was, this guy's asking Vitello after the game, kind of an old timer around here, is like basically like that got to the church on one hop.
Yeah.
St. Thomas Church is over in right field, and it's like he's like, that's one of the longest home runs ever hit here.
I think the official tally was 479, right? 479 feet.
479.
Yep.
It was just like everyone just stood and watched it like, what in the heck was that? But then you have like a guy like Cal Stark, a 186 hitter who gets a walk and to start a 2-out rally, and then Jared Dickey with the huge hit and then Southern Miss errors, and they just kind of fell apart. But pretty stunning. And it wasn't quite the Clemson win, but similar kind of thing where they look like they're done, and then they figure out a way to come back. So now that they have got themselves in position, can they put together a really good game? And because look, if they're going to go beyond this and go into Omaha and do anything, it's about those starting pitchers. They got what they needed from Dolander. Can they get what they need from Beam today?
So have you enjoyed your stay in Hattiesburg? You thinking about buying a vacation home down there, or maybe renting an Airbnb from Favre? Like, how we doing down there?
Ooh, well, I haven't yet gone to the volleyball arena.
Maybe later today.
It's probably really nice.
I would hope so. I would hope it'd be really nice. Although, the Vols were crouching under the stands yesterday, trying to avoid the sunlight between games. So, I guess Favre doesn't let other people go into the volleyball arena. I don't know, but yeah, I like Hattiesburg. It's great. I'll have more to say about Hattiesburg next.
Looking forward to that. 615-737-1025, our phone number. 615-737-1025. Coming up next, it is time for the Rex Rant with Joe Rexrode. You can check it out every morning at 7:45. This is Robby and Rexrode, 102.5-106.3 The Game.
We are Nashville's best sports talk, live and local from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. When you want the national
Hey. I got this. I'll take it from here.
Okay, go ahead. Dying to hear this.
We have the best national voices that you'll find anywhere.
Who was more deserving of being thrown from their game? I'm odd, so I get the odd picks. They have a new coaching staff. It's not a bad scenario for them.
We are 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
And 94.9 The Fan.
Well, it's almost time to crown that NBA champion, folks, and FanDuel wants you to be part of the excitement. Joe Rexrode here, let you know, new customers get a no-sweat first bet up to $2,500, $2,500, $2,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet does not win. FanDuel is the best sportsbook for many reasons. Great promotions every day. It's safe and secure. You get paid instantly. Very important thing for me is that it's very easy to use. No better place to bet all the finals action, and boy, there may not be much left than America's #1 sportsbook. Visit FanDuel.com/Joe102. Get that no sweat first bet up to $2,500. Again, FanDuel.com/Joe102. FanDuel is an official sports betting partner of the NBA. You must be 21 or older and present in Tennessee. First online room under wager only. $10 deposit required. Refund issued. It's now withdrawable. Bonus bets that expire in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line 800-889-9789.
You enjoy the thrill of gambling, but what happens when it becomes a problem? Whether you want to cut back or quit gambling altogether, the Gambling Clinic has been helping people change their gambling for over 2 decades. We're here to help, not to judge. The Gambling Clinic is a Tennessee-based clinic offering in-person and telehealth support to help people win back their life. Visit us at thegamblingclinic.com. This project is funded by the Tennessee Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services.
Gear up for spring at Coleman Tractor Company with Kubota zero turns and subcompact tractors in stock now and ready to work. Mow, dig, haul, and lift with the Kubota BX23S tractor loader backhoe. Now through June 30th, save up to $2,500 on BX23S models. Visit Coleman Tractor in Paris, Clarksville, Nashville, and White House today. Now through June 30th. See KubotaUSA.com for more information.
Are you kidding me? Gas prices are up again? Somebody has to do something.
Well, someone did. That's why I use Upside.
Upside? What's that?
It's a free app that pays you back real money for every gallon of gas or diesel you buy. I just earned 25 cents back on every gallon of this tank.
So the Upside app is free and you actually get cash back every time you use it? No strings attached?
Yep, it's awesome. Check it out. It only takes a couple of minutes to sign up.
Instead of just watching your dollars go into your tank, start putting money back into your wallet with the free app from Upside. With the price of gas today, it's big news and big money. To cash out of your Upside cash, just transfer it to your bank account, PayPal, or a gift card. Upside users have already earned over $200 million. Now it's your turn. Download the free Upside app and get cash back on every gallon of gas. Use promo code ESPN17 for an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first fill-up. That's code ESPN17. Use code ESPN17 for an extra 25 cents per gallon back in your first fill-up. Cashback's not available in gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin.
You're locked into Robby and Rexrode.
Every morning, first thing.
Presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. The time is now for the Rex Rant.
Sounds like somebody's got a case of the Mondays.
On Robby and Rexrode, here on ESPN 102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
You know, obviously they made some plays. We had a hard time staying in front of them. At the end of the day, I'm just sick and tired of our guys getting smashed down there. Smashed! We'll get ready to play Tennessee. We were incredibly outmanned at the end. At 4 guys on the bench in foul trouble. Joke!
Auburn head coach Bruce Pearl joining us.
Yes, the standard of ranting set by Bruce Pearl a few months ago. Rexrode tries to live up to it every day. And it is that time of the day, time for the Rex Rant. You can check it out every morning at 7:45. Joe Rexrode, the floor is yours. I turn things over to you as the bright sunshine of Hattiesburg, Mississippi is behind you.
Yeah, well, I opened the curtains here because for those watching the stream, I want to. This could be a real issue, but I'm gonna try to see if I can show you the view from my hotel room. Let me see if I can do this. Just hold on one second.
Okay. Joe Rexrode is displaying his view. By the way, streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook, where you could check this thing out as Joe Rexrode, live from Hattiesburg, Mississippi, is preparing for Game 3 of the Super Regional between Tennessee and Southern Miss. So is that the Tennessee team bus behind you? Wow.
Indeed it is.
What of you?
GB Joe.
Yeah, well, that exactly. So it's great because I have the Tennessee team bus here. It's on my window. Like yesterday, it was 9 a.m. and I was about to head over there for the 11 a.m. resumption of the rain-delayed game, and they hadn't left yet. And I'm like, well, I guess I won't leave yet. Like if the team hasn't gone. And then they started getting on the bus, and I'm like, well, maybe I could like follow them and like with the police escort and like but so I waited a little bit, but it's nice so I can see what's going on with the Vols. And it was lucky I just went to the Starbucks and no one was in line. I guess these guys haven't woken up yet, which is good. I mean, Who would have known yesterday? I mean, the game's over and it's early evening, and of course we're all saying, okay, so what do you think the game time will be? And the Tennessee people are saying, I have no idea. It could be 11 a.m., it could be 1 p.m., it could be 2, it could be 5, it could be 8, it could be anything. And so hours passed. So you're Tony Vitello right now. You have a baseball team here at this hotel, and they do meetings, they do film, they do breakfast, they do a routine, and depending on your game time the next day, that could be very, very different.
Yeah.
So hours pass, continued to text the Tennessee people, continue. Then you start seeing Southern Miss official accounts say, gosh, 9:37, still don't have a game time. And then the Tennessee and Southern Miss accounts are like kind of complaining, with each other on Twitter. And of course, the top complainer in media, Mike Wilson, is just absolutely throwing an absolute tantrum. And, I went to bed. I had no idea when this game was going to be played today. And here's the thing. If you had a window, which I think is clear, but basically what I think happened is that Stanford won. Had Stanford lost, this would be the only game. And so they were going to make this the primetime game, right? This was going to be the 8 p.m. Central, 9 Eastern game if it was alone. Stanford does win, so they get the later game, so this game's at 5. Okay. So you know what you do? You tell the people who are part of these teams it's going to be one or the other. That's all you have to do.
Yeah.
It's going to be one or the other, and then they can at least have a little bit of a window and a little bit of an idea. But you know what Tennessee got told? Not one damn thing. You know why? Because the NCAA's incompetence, again, is on full display here. I mean, the way that they actually were trying to possibly play game one and finish it Saturday was embarrassing. I mean, they got a couple reps here, and it's like they're trying to force something to happen. And by the way, speaking of weather, it's great that TV people just do control everything. But if they had looked at the forecast, they'll see that there's a great chance we have thunderstorms here today. So that nice time slot that they have is going to be like pickleball reruns. How does that help you? How does that help you to schedule the game at a time where we're going to be absolutely in a monsoon here? It's just like
pickleball's a great sport, must point that out.
Yeah, right. But if it's not live, it's just so much better live.
That's true.
It's just like have a little bit of courtesy and tell people, okay, it's going to be one of these two, so just plan accordingly. No, instead, not one thing said. Also, have some common sense and say, when could the game actually be played, that it could, because actually the later time here is probably a better idea, or 11 a.m., which we'd all prefer, you'd get the game in before the rain comes in. Instead, let's put it right smack dab in the middle of the terrible weather. So it's just, the NCAA has been reduced to basically they run these tournaments now, and they can't even do that competently. I don't have any beef about this being in Hattiesburg. The way that the selection is done, it's fine. It was 50-50. Now, the selection shouldn't be done that way. It should purely be done by seeding all the teams going into a tournament, and then whoever was higher seeded between these two teams hosts. That's what you should do. But, of course, they'd rather keep it the way that they have it so that they can just sort of make decisions for reasons. But this has been an embarrassing display by the NCAA, the way that they're running this thing right now.
Well, it's ridiculous that you could get as late as I guess my question would be, what were they going to do if the game was at 11? They just, by the way, guys, good morning. You're playing in 3 hours. Have fun. We'll see you over at the field.
Exactly. Well, exactly. That's what Tennessee's. It was like, it's like, I guess you better go to bed. Get an early wake up call. Hey, guys, you better get over to the field. Yeah, exactly. And that's all you have to do is say, just wipe out the early time slot. Okay. Don't worry about that. It's going to be either or this. Okay, great. No, nothing. They were very frustrated. Southern Miss was very frustrated. And again, it's just, why does it have to be this way? Communicate with people a little bit.
Well, this whole process to me has just been ridiculous. And I hear you on the selection to go down to Hattiesburg. I don't necessarily have a problem with them playing the series in Hattiesburg, But to your point, like the fact that this is just left up to, I guess we'll just figure it out and somebody will tell us where they're playing rather than just seeding the tournament and having a pretty clear path of where things are going to be anyway is ridiculous to me. Now, I get it. Like you said last week, this is not college football, so they're not printing money left and right with the way that they do things. So there are different considerations, and I get all that. But the fact that we've gone from the Hattiesburg/Knoxville debacle where we didn't really know where it was going to be until Monday last week to now all this stuff playing out with nobody can figure out when the game's going to start the next day, a little bit, before the team even goes to sleep the night before. Like it's ridiculous. Like it's got to be handled better than this in the future.
And again, because there's been a lot of back and forth between the fan bases and all that stuff. This is Southern Miss is just as much. The Southern Miss people are trying to run this regional. They're just as much in the dark as everybody else. They're like, what are we doing here, folks? They don't. It's the NCAA, but it's the NCAA saying, hey, TV exec, kicking your feet up and just making random decisions. Can you tell me something? Pretty ridiculous.
Gordon on the text line says, regarding the location, doesn't it come down to two schools bidding to host? I read that somewhere, but if you think so, Tennessee would have hosted. This from Gordon from Nashville on the text line.
Yes, they both put in bids. I mean, there are some things about this facility here that are better than Lindsey Nelson. Like this facility actually has a big press box with suites and stuff like that, a lot of suites. So it's and they get about 1,000 more people. They get about 1,000 more people per game than Tennessee does. So in baseball, that's a significant number. I mean, it's 6,000 versus 5,000. So yeah, but that's now like people have pointed out, like Knoxville is a better hotel situation, restaurant, stuff like that. But in terms of straight up revenue from games, that's to me, it's got to be what you're looking at, right? 1,000 more people.
It's been the Rex Rant with Joe Rexrode. You can check it out every morning at 7:45. Game 3 coming up tonight between Tennessee and Southern Miss starting at 5 o'clock. So looking forward to that. We'll have Corey Curtis from News 2 coming up next. We'll get into the Tennessee Titans and the DeAndre Hopkins situation with him. But first, Joe Rexrode has a word from our friends at PhD Weight Loss.
I do have a happy rant about PhD Weight Loss because I'm down 20 in 6 weeks. I feel great, loving the food items, no pills, no gimmicks, no other suppressants. This feels good. It feels sustainable. And, that's a big thing, right? I mean, there are a lot of different ways to lose some weight. Can you lose the weight? Keep it off. I mentioned those products. By the way, 85% of this food is provided at no additional cost. I'm loving the peanut butter chocolate cereal, pancakes, broccoli cheddar soup. Protein bars are fantastic. And this whole thing is simple. It's easy, and it's tailored to you. You have a weekly phone discussion with your coach to talk things over, talk about, there's a lot of different ways those conversations can go. Certainly certain things you want to try. Is this okay? Is that okay? You can go to a lot of different restaurants and have things that are fine on this diet. No cravings, no problem. And there's a guarantee. If you don't get within 5 pounds of that target weight at the end of your program, PhD will continue to coach you for free until you do. Check it out at myphdweightloss.com.
Every day we are live and local.
Blown out in one game against a team that's just flat out better than you.
And your source for Nashville sports.
How many needs are you going to create for yourself this offseason?
We are Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Rich Bar Florist is family owned and operated since 1955 and one of the top 100 florist companies in the country, providing their customers with quality flowers sourced from around the world and handcrafted floral arrangements. Rich Bar Florist is a proud sponsor of NASCAR and the Nashville Super Speedway, proudly serving the stars of NASCAR, IndyCar, and Hollywood, such as Elton John, Ozzy Osbourne, Alexander Rossi, Dale Earnhardt Jr., and many more. Learn more at richmarflorist.com. Rich Mar Florist, Pennsylvania-based, Tennessee strong.
Are you ready to tackle losing weight like me? Hey, it's Chase McCabe, and I recently began my journey to losing weight. And guess what? It's not an easy one for me because I like food, and I've never really set structure for myself, but that has changed. That's why I joined PhD Weight Loss. I'm already down 10 pounds after just a few weeks. It's a very easy-to-follow process that lays out everything that I need to be successful as designed by Amazon #1 bestseller, Dr. Ashley Lucas. I have weekly check-ins with my nutritionist. Here's my favorite part. The whole process is 100% over the phone. It's nationwide. 80% of dropping fat weight is through nutrition itself, and your coach will help you through this like they have with me. No pills, no injections, no gimmicks. I'm learning how to eliminate the bad food and replace it with good. They'll even help you limit hunger and cravings. Once you get to your goal, which is good for us guys because we like having that end game, they'll be there with you through the maintenance process. Start your journey like me. Visit myphdweightloss.com. That's myphdweightloss.com.
Ray Magliozzi here for eBay Motors. Okay, easy now. You're teaching your kid how to parallel park. Ouch! Turns out he likes to do it by feel. Don't worry, eBay Motors has bumpers, trunk lids, license plate holders, and headlights. They've got lots of headlights. When you need parts, get it right the first time with eBay Guaranteed Fit. When you see the check, you know that part's going to fit. eBay Motors. Let's ride. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
At Fisher Investments, we do things differently, and other money managers don't understand why.
Because our way works great for us.
But it may not work for your clients. That's why Fisher Investments is a fiduciary, obligated to put clients first. It's the highest standard for a financial advisor.
So, what do you provide? Cookie-cutter portfolios like the rest of us?
No cookie-cutter portfolios here. Fisher Investments tailors portfolios to meet each client's goals and needs.
But you do sell investments that earn you high commissions, right? And make commissions when you make trades for your clients?
No, Fisher Investments doesn't sell any commission investment products, and we never earn commissions on trades.
So what's in it for you?
Fisher Investments fees are structured so we do better when our clients do better. When it comes to helping clients achieve a comfortable retirement, we're clearly different. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you switch to us. Fisher Investments, clearly different money management.
Investments in securities involve the risk of loss.
102.5 The Game and Green Trees Company Dispensary want to send you to see Bryan Adams at Bridgestone Arena Saturday, June 17th with very special guests Joan Jett and the Blackhearts. Listen all week long to Robby and Rexrode for your cue to call to win tickets to Bryan Adams and Joan Jett at Bridgestone Arena.
Now, your Game Center update.
I'm Michelle Knezovic. The Tennessee Volunteers' Omaha hopes stay alive with a late win yesterday in Hattiesburg, beating Southern Miss 8-4. First pitch is scheduled for 5 p.m. today between Tennessee and Southern Miss. The winner will head to Omaha. DeAndre Hopkins visited with the Tennessee Titans this weekend, and Rich Eisen says he doesn't know if Tennessee is the place to be.
We'll see what they want to pay him, because it doesn't appear that if you're going ring shopping, Tennessee is the spot to go get a ring. Super Bowl ring. Obviously, as we know, Nash Vegas is the bachelorette party capital of the world. So rings have already been brought. You know.
Broadway.
I'm talking about Super Bowl ring.
And you're saying Tennessee is the place to go?
It is not the place to go shopping for a Super Bowl ring.
I must have misheard you.
No, that is not the place you want to go ring shopping.
The Denver Nuggets with a chance to close out the series tonight and win their first ever NBA championship. Game 5 will tip off at 7:30 p.m. tonight. This report is presented by the law offices of Amanda J. Gentry. I'm Michelle Knezovic for 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
For more, follow us on Twitter at 102.5 The Game or visit thegamenashville.com. Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne. Nashville's exclusive home for the Nashville Predators. 102.5 and 106.3.
79-52 Vanderbilt. And I think he's going to coach up by Cheryl.
You're going to see more moves. The Game.
A Cromwell media station.
Mixing sports and a little bit of fun.
This is fun!
On your morning drive. This is Robby and Rexrode. With Robby Stanley and Joe Rexrode. Presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty. On Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Ladies and gentlemen,
it's showtime.
Final hour, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Michelle Knezovic here with you on this Monday morning. And as we do every Monday morning at 8 o'clock, we go to our 102.5 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. And welcome in our friend Corey Curtis from News 2 for the best 15 minutes in sports radio. Corey, good morning. How are you?
I'm just, relieved because I was waiting and waiting for you guys to call.
But, nobody decided what time you were going to call me, and they just kept waiting and waiting and waiting, and you finally did.
But now we know. Just like Tennessee knows what time they're playing the game today. It's good stuff.
We have certain words we try to tell our daughter not to use because they're kind of mean or hateful, and stupid is one of them. That was stupid.
Yes, it was. And Joe's right down there in the thick of it, Corey, in Hattiesburg, having a great time.
Well, that makes sense.
Corey, the DeAndre Hopkins visit is underway with the Tennessee Titans. He posted a nice Instagram story last night of a car picking him up.
DeAndre and Tim McGraw, yeah.
Yeah, looked real good out there last night. So what do you make of the Titans' interest in him? And let's say they land him and they get through this whole process and DeAndre Hopkins is here. How much does that change this offense in your mind?
Well, it's a minimum of 8, Pete. Okay? So
nice.
Just stack up the trophies. No, look, I mean, I don't think this – I know he's not the same DeAndre Hopkins from 4 years ago. Nobody is at that point. But I've said if he's 85% of what he was, he's going to make this team better. I mean, he's a pro. He knows nuance of the game. He knows how to get open. And he catches – I don't think I've ever seen that guy drop a ball. He catches absolutely everything. And it wouldn't be bad to actually have some experience in the room, considering you've got one guy in the room with over 100 catches for his career. You have a guy who's got multiple 100-catch seasons. So I think there's a number of ways he makes this team better.
So, in terms of the concerns with him, Corey, do any of them really bother you? I mean, I do. I see different injuries, and I see PED suspension, and you can let your mind wander on that. And then, I mean, some people would say, well, gosh, if all he cares about is the paycheck or whatever, that doesn't really bother me. But is anything like, what's your biggest red flag?
I don't know DeAndre Hopkins. I've never really covered him, never really talked to him on a day-to-day basis. But guys who don't practice that much concern me. And, how much do they separate themselves from the team? How much do they want to be out there? I mean, that doesn't take away from his production in games. It hasn't in his career. But that always is kind of like a precursor of could there be trouble ahead in just the whole team operation. And that statement could be way off base. I don't know. I just know that as we read practice reports throughout the week, there's two guys who I could count on who probably weren't going to be practicing, and they were DeAndre Hopkins and Julio Jones.
Corey, let me ask it to you this way. So how do you view the Titans as currently constructed right now in relation to Jacksonville in the division, and how would a DeAndre Hopkins change or influence that view in your mind?
I mean, the thing we all still have to remember is look, Jacksonville made a nice step up last year. They brought adults into the building. They look like an actual football team now, and they're to be congratulated to not be picking in the top 5 for the 900th time. But they still had to put together a streak down the stretch, and the Titans still had to lose 7 straight with 900 players on the roster for them to make the playoffs and win the division. And they still barely beat Josh Dobbs. I think that's, important to remember. I think we all feel like with Ryan Tannehill on the field, the Titans probably win that game. I don't think there's that much question about that. So do I think this is hands down the Jaguars division? No, I don't. Do I think that they're going to challenge for it? Sure. Yeah, and if I was picking a winner right now, would I pick the Jaguars? Probably, maybe. I don't know. I got to look because I got to see what the Titans' offensive line is going to be. But I still think that they can, if the offensive line can be reasonably better, and gosh, I mean, with Dennis Daly gone, you're better by subtraction. I mean, that's just a fact. And so I have to think that they're going to be better in that area. You just really wonder, we love what we see from Traylon Burks so far, and I have never been that worried about Traylon Burks. I've always thought he was going to be a player for the team. The question is the other guys. You know, we know what Nick Westbrook-Akine is. Yeah, I mean, like everybody else knows. Joe knows something else, but we all know. We all know. I mean, look, he's your 3 or your 4, and he's a guy you're not afraid to put out there. But you know, he can make some plays for you. You know, what can Kyle Phillips do? You know, what can Racey McMath do anything? You know, that's the question. And then, you know, how big of a leap can Chig Okonkwo? Because I think we all have Chig making this monumental leap because, you know, for some reason he was only capable of playing like 30% of the snaps last season while putting up the best numbers of any rookie tight end in the league. So, you know, we think they've got some young weapons, but it's really unproven. And that's hard to say, you know, oh, well, you know, these guys are good and they're going to do it when they haven't really done it before. So it's, you know, I think there's some hope there, but it's unproven hope. And, you know, the Jaguars proved some things. And so if you bring in a DeAndre Hopkins, you know, you bring in more of a proven commodity to help solidify things.
Now that we've heard from him, Corey, how would you put a bow on the Kevin Byard situation? Or would you put a bow on the Kevin Byard situation?
No, I don't think you can. Can you?
Well, from the Titans' perspective, I think, I mean, they're pursuing DeAndre Hopkins. So to me, this idea that they might move him this year is absurd. But that's just me. I mean, now from his side, I mean, I think he's not happy about it. But I don't think there's much after this other than he's going to play this year, and then we'll see after that. But maybe you disagree.
Yeah, I mean, I just, you know, I think TK asked him about, you know, practice this week, and he's like, I don't want to get into that. I'm like, it's just an OTA, dude. Just say, yeah, I'm going to go back and work out, you know. But it's just, you know, I've known him a long time. You've known him a long time. Good of a person, as easy of a conversation as you will ever have. And I thought he handled it pretty well. But, you know, there's obviously some issues there. And again, and I know I'm beating a dead horse there, I know it's a business, but I don't fathom how you ask that guy to take a pay cut because the previous GM wrote bad contracts, okay, or did a poor job of drafting at times and has kind of hamstrung you. When you look at the roster building, like you just asked me about, the Titans have a handful of guys who are top 5 players at their position. He is one of them. And I don't understand how you get rid of top 5 players and get better. I know there's a salary cap, but you've hired people to help you navigate the salary cap. You know, you don't get better by getting rid of your best players. You don't. We saw what happened when they got rid of A.J. Brown. It did not make them better at all, okay? And so I don't understand that. He has never missed a game. He's healthy. He takes immaculate care of himself. He's still playing at a really high level, and I can see him playing at a really high level for the 3 to 5 years. I mean, if anything, I'm extending him for a year or two. If he's willing to extend at a lower number, you know, what's his average annual? Was it like 13 or was it 16? It was like 16, wasn't it?
A bit. Well, I think I don't have it right in front of me. But I think base is 13. Cap hit this year is 19.6.
Yeah, well, that's not his fault. I mean, the team did that.
Right.
So I'm just talking about the average annual. So it's like 13.
It's it's in the mid-teens. Yeah.
So I mean, if you could extend him for a year at like 10, you know, and you could lower your number, and so you know, that's what I would be looking to do. I would look for a way to extend him, but I know that's not realistic. And also, you know, when you pay Amani Hooker 13, you know, that's a lot of money to pump into the safety position. So, you know, we'll see. But, you know, clearly not comfortable talking about the whole thing. And, by the way, I think it was absolutely the right way to handle it. Because no matter what he says in that situation, if he says anything about being upset, people who don't cover this team from coast to coast run with that soundbite or that quote and turn it into something it's not.
Hey, Corey, word on the street is Anthony Richardson looks really good at Colts camp. You ever heard anything about a quarterback from Indianapolis looking good in June?
I'm surprised they haven't built a statue of him to put next to Phillip Rivers and Matt whatever his name is.
Matt Ryan.
Matt Ryan, and all behind the big Carson Wentz trophy.
Yes.
Because it's amazing how every quarterback in Indianapolis is going to lead them to the Super Bowl. It's unbelievable. Look, he might end up being a great quarterback, and I expect to see flashes of athleticism from him this year, but he's still really young. And I do not know the NFL's infatuation with Indianapolis. I just look. Peyton Manning has been gone a long time. We're now at the point where Andrew Luck's been gone a long time. They have not been a contender since 2014. Robbie, were you even an adult then? Holy
Just
cow.
barely.
It's been a decade. It's been a decade since they were a contender in the division. And people continue to dote over this organization, which is run by a guy who is laughable at times. And, again, he might wind up being great, but he's not going to be great this year. I'm pretty confident saying that.
Corey Curtis from News 2, our guest here on Robby and Rexrode. Corey, you delivered as always. Thanks for being with us, and we'll talk to you next week.
I look forward to it, especially when the NCAA changes the College World Series on the day before to have it in the Pocatello Regional.
Yes, very much looking forward to that, too. Yes. You're just picking up the ballpark and moving it. Thank you, Corey.
Later, guys.
Hey, Corey.
All right, Corey Curtis from News 2, our guest. We'll take your thoughts on the Titans, 615-737-1025. Get back into the DeAndre Hopkins visit coming up next. This is Robby and Rexrode, 102.5-106.3, The Game.
The Tampa Bay Lightning win their second straight Stanley Cup. Colorado has won the Stanley Cup.
The Stanley Cup Final lives here. Which team will hoist Lord Stanley's Cup in 2023? Follow all the action on Smashville's home for postseason hockey. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
It's almost time to crown NBA champion. Might just be happening tonight, folks. And FanDuel wants you to be part of the excitement. Right now, new customers can get a no-sweat first bet up to $2,500. Again, $2,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. Why is FanDuel so great? Because it's got great promotions every day. It's safe and secure. You get paid instantly. It's easy to use. There's no better place to bet all the finals action than on America's #1 sportsbook. And again, you might want to get on that fast, because this could be it for the Nuggets tonight. Visit FanDuel.com/Joe102. Get a no-sweat first bet up to $2,500. $2,500. FanDuel.com/Joe102. FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. And you must be 21 or older and present in Tennessee. First online real money wager, only $10 deposit required. Refund issued with now withdrawable bonus bets that expire in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line, 800-889-9789.
Hey, it's Jared from my friends at Hiller. Hiller's Heat Wave Heroes are keeping you from getting burned this summer. If you know your home needs an air conditioning replacement, do not wait until it breaks down. You do not want to be sweating in your home. This month, get a free UV light and free electronic air cleaner when you buy select new HVAC systems. Or get a whole home water filtration for just $59 a month. Or get a new whole home generator for just $139 a month. Call Hiller's Heat Wave Heroes to save the day. Visit happyhiller.com to book.
The spring menu is here at Kitchen Notes in the Omni Nashville Hotel, featuring their signature cast iron pie with herb roasted chicken, English peas, carrots, potato, simple greens, and a toasted biscuit crumble topping. Or garden succotash with snap peas, black-eyed peas, roasted peppers, sweet corn, tomato, and caramelized onion. Or try the steak fritas with pan-seared ribeye. Kitchen Notes in the Omni Nashville Hotel, open daily till 2 with brunch Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 7 till 2.
It's the symphonic rock experience everyone's talking about. The Nashville Symphony performs Windborne's The Music of Led Zeppelin, featuring conductor Brent Havens, vocalist Justin Sargent, and a full rock band. The hits of Led Zeppelin performed live as you've never heard them before. June 25th at Ascend Amphitheater. Tickets are on sale now at NashvilleSymphony.org. Full details at windbornemusic.com.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today?
I think my battery's dead.
With free battery testing and charging, AutoZone is here to help.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
What if I need a new one?
We have the right batteries right here at America's #1 battery destination.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
And what if I don't know how to connect it?
No problem. We have a how-to for you at AutoZone.com.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
We try to stay cool by being on social media.
I'm with it. I'm hip.
Follow us on Twitter at 1025thegame and on Instagram at 1025thegame Nashville.
Hey!
Oh yeah, and like us on Facebook too. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode.
It's part of this nutritious breakfast.
Presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty on 1025 and 1063 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 1025, 1063 The Game. Streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. Our video streaming brought to you by Superbook. We are live from our 1025 The Game studio. Brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. We got a contest for you. And as we know, Father's Day coming up this next weekend. We need your best dad jokes on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Give us your best dad joke, and if you win, you will be qualified for a 4-pack of tickets to the Ally 400 coming up on June 25th. Winner will be selected this Friday, so you'll have some time this week. Make sure you're tuned in to our show all week long for your best dad joke. We need your best dad joke. Hit up the text line. Do not call. Hit up the text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. If Michelle finds you to be the winner today, you will be qualified for a 4-pack of tickets to the Ally 400 coming up on June 25th. So, Michelle, really the person you need to impress in this competition.
Yes, we do. And if you guys have any, we're all ears right now. Rexrode, I see you thinking.
I mean, basically everything comes out of my mouth is some level of dad joke, right?
There is that. Consistency.
I got some dad jokes.
Consistency. Text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. So we'll check back on that later in the program here today. Joe, DeAndre Hopkins visiting with the Tennessee Titans. He put it on his Instagram story last night that he had, in fact, arrived in Nashville. They had a nice, fun car that they picked him up in and a screen in the car with DeAndre Hopkins photoshopped into a Tennessee Titans jersey. He put Chris Stapleton's Tennessee Whiskey as the song of his choice on his Instagram story. Just embracing of the moment from DeAndre Hopkins last night. He's scheduled to visit with the New England Patriots later this week. And right now, that's it. We'll see if there are any other teams that throw their name in the hat on the DeAndre Hopkins front in terms of visits. But, Joe, what do you make of where things currently stand with visits with the Titans and New England? Maybe what the end goal is here for DeAndre Hopkins and his agency to drive up a market, and the Titans' chances in your mind to actually land DeAndre Hopkins throughout all this.
Yeah, it's hard to know the chances without knowing what they're willing to do financially, but I will be shocked if the Titans are thinking that they like the sound of like 15 with incentives up to 20. And he put that out there around the time Buffalo was trying to, give him a few Applebee's coupons to come play for them. That's what he's looking for. So the chances are, it's just like, how badly do the Titans want him? How badly does New England want him? Both of those teams, I think, take some level of potential step up in the AFC. If they add DeAndre Hopkins, they both have a need. I mean, LD from McMinnville earlier was like, well, whoever, if the Pats sign him, the Titans just sign whoever, the Pats cut. But it's not like their receiver room is teeming with talent either. I mean, both those teams could definitely use a good version of him. So I just feel like we're not going to hear anything anytime soon, because I don't think I don't think Belichick's going to, blow open the bank on him. I understand that a couple of years ago he went nuts signing Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry. So it's not like New England never gives out big deals or overpriced deals, but I just think that the Hopkins thing is destined to be waiting for weeks, because I just don't think he's going to get the money he wants to get. And it's not like he has some urgency right now to sign if he doesn't like the number he's hearing.
I mean, they do have OTAs this week. He could be really all about that.
That's
Getting
true.
there, get some throws in.
Trying to rush the process here so we can get out there and catch a few passes from Tannehill. Maybe that's it. I don't know what New England's situation is. Are they done with OTA? They still have something left?
I don't know. It's a good question. Good question.
Belichick keeping the media out, getting fined, whatever he's doing up there.
Just closed door operation up there in New England. So I'll ask you the same question that I just asked Corey Curtis, because I think it's a really interesting one. Like, how do you view the Titans in relation to Jacksonville as currently constructed, and how would a DeAndre Hopkins change that view in your mind?
Well, I'd like their chances better. I mean, that's just if he's healthy.
A very important caveat we must discuss every time.
I mean, I guess in something like this, you sort of you know what the best case is, you know what the worst case is, so just kind of assume something in the middle. So I guess for that would be like Hopkins playing 10 to 12 games and still being a pretty good version of himself. If he's a pretty good version of himself, look, even the Julio thing, which was obviously not at all what the Titans hoped for, and the big difference being what they gave up to get him. But even with Julio, I can think of like the Buffalo game, the Kansas City game. I mean, he had some moment. I mean, the game the Seattle game, he was big time in that game. The Houston game that clinched the 1 seed, he had a huge touchdown in that game. So it's not like there was nothing added by Julio Jones. It just wasn't nearly what needed to be added. I mean, you would hope that Hopkins would be a little more impactful for you this year. And a huge difference also, of course, that was A.J. Brown on the other side, you know, in his prime, becoming a star receiver. And this is Treylon Burks in year 2, trying to show that he can be, you know, a good starting receiver in the NFL. And to me, Hopkins coming on immediately helps Treylon Burks. Better matchups, better opportunities, I think better production if Hopkins is on this team. You know, just it balances the field. Right now it's tilted toward Burks if he's going to be what he looks like in camp. It's just, you know, it's Burks and, you know, as Corey was saying, Chig. I mean, I think Chig is going to be a big factor this year. A good Hopkins, a good version of Hopkins, not even a great version, but a good version. Now you're starting to talk about some actual options on that offense. And we also know that Tim Kelly has deployed DeAndre Hopkins before when he was at his absolute best, but he knows him as a player. So I think that familiarity should also be a benefit.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. We've already got some of your thoughts to get to on the DeAndre Hopkins front. We will do that coming up next. Take more of your thoughts on our phone and text line, 615-737-1025. This is Robby and Rexrode, 102.5-106.3, The Game.
The NHL Awards and NHL Draft are coming soon to the Music City. Join us live June 26th through 29th at Bridgestone Arena, as we'll have you covered from the red carpet and the draft floor as the stars of tomorrow join the quest for Lord Stanley's Cup. We are your home for Smashville. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Attention all fire and safety line experts. Middle Tennessee's fastest growing fire protection company is looking for experienced service technicians, designers, and sprinkler system experts like you. Tired of working for a large corporate employer? Work for a company where you're more than just a number. Jarrett Fire Protection is owned and operated by Nashville natives and wants to invite you to grow with their amazing team.
Hi, I'm Jason Jarrett, owner of Jarrett Companies. I'm looking to hire experienced sprinkler experts and will offer a sign-on bonus of up to $5,000 for certified professionals. In addition to our great benefits that include a 401k match, PTO, and top pay with annual bonuses, we will also provide you with the top-of-the-line tools, trucks, and equipment that you need to grow your career. Our customer base is large and business is booming with many opportunities for advancement. Give us a call or go online to jarrettfire.com and apply today to become a member of our family and protect our community. That's JARRETT fire.com. Jarrett Companies, where we are above and beyond industry standards.
Genesis Diamonds has the lowest interest rates on the planet because we never stop thinking about our customers. Right now, you can get 0 interest financing on any purchase. Beautiful tennis bracelets or 5-stone rings starting at only $35 a month. Those 4-carat lab-grown diamond stud earrings just $115 a month. Get Genesis low price, pay nothing down, and spread your payments over 5 years with 0 interest. Rings, pendants, bands, one-of-a-kind designer jewelry, pre-owned Rolex watches. Now through July 1st only. Only at Genesis Diamonds. Green Hills and Cool Springs. On approved credit, see store for details.
It's Wrangler season out there. T-shirt days, denim jacket nights. A pair of broken-in jeans you could live in. Open roads, endless horizons, no destinations. This is when adventure starts calling. And you need to be ready in jeans that are made for the unpredictable journey that we call life. Wrangler, for the ride of life. Shop our newest styles today at Wrangler.com.
What's up? It's a Target trend alert. New swim has just arrived and it's sunny weather approved.
If you're into bikinis or one pieces, high waists or cutouts, they're the perfect combo of trendy, flattering, and affordable.
That's right. And there are so many cool styles with gorgeous details. These suits have macrame, crochet, wood beads, pretty shells, and more. Totally a luxe for less vibe.
Yeah, so dive in and shop this Target trend without the spend.
And now a special motorcycle weather report from Progressive.
Well, today you can expect lots of cloud cover with 0% chance of raining on your parade because you'll be riding your motorcycle vroom vroom. That rumbling low-pressure system beneath you should give way to a relaxing commute and the sudden urge to take the scenic route everywhere you go because, dagnabbit, you're having fun out there. That's your forecast. Back to you.
This has been a special motorcycle weather report from Progressive, where every day's a beautiful day to ride with coverage from America's #1 motorcycle insurer. Get a quote today and see what you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
If it's important to Nashville,
I'll put it out right now.
It's important to Jared Stillman.
Like, that's it.
He's not afraid to ask the tough questions.
Something is going on, and the question is, what does it mean?
Or give the strong opinion.
And just needed the bozo offensive coordinator to stop ruining the quarterback.
Stillman and Company. Weekdays at 2 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, Nashville, this is Eli Gold, voice of the Alabama Crimson Tide, and you're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game, presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty, helping home buyers and sellers in Middle Tennessee for 20 years. We are discussing the Tennessee Titans and DeAndre Hopkins, who's on his visit for the Tennessee Titans. Taking your thoughts, 615-737-1025. Brandon from Spring Hill on the text line says, I don't think it's too fanatical to say that the possibility of Hopkins coming to the Titans feels like the biggest wide receiver talent potential in the last 5 years or so. I don't put him on the same performance level of Julio. I think he's a little bit better and not as old. Feels like a similar output potential we believe we would have had from A.J. Brown before he was traded. Maybe a little better than before we saw him play this past year. What do you think of that, Joe, from Brandon and Spring Hill?
I think Brandon needs to calm down a little bit.
Not even the AJ before Philly, AJ?
No, what?
I'm just throwing the question out there that he said.
Yeah. Look, if it's anywhere near what you think there, Brandon, then bust out the paycheck, Amy Adams Strunk, or the checkbook. I mean,
yes.
So I don't know if yeah.
Chip,
sorry, I'm looking at all these dad jokes. Are you going to announce the winning dad joke, Michelle?
Yes, our winning dad joke. It's from Shane in Oak Grove, Kentucky.
Okay.
Okay, are you ready?
Sure.
How does a moon cut his hair? Eclipse it.
There
were some good ones.
There's some other good ones on here.
Michelle couldn't even get through that. She was reading it and laughing before she even told the joke.
That's strong. I'll submit mine to you guys. What do you get when you cross an elephant and a rhinoceros?
I don't know.
Elefino.
Oh my God.
Oh wait, that actually was good.
Log off.
I know it was.
Joe's like, I got 7 more up my sleeve.
Jeez. We'll have more dad jokes.
One per day.
More dad jokes all week in the competition. Congratulations to Shane, though, who is qualified for a 4-pack of tickets to the Ally 400 coming up on June 25th. Winner will be selected on Friday, so we'll be doing this all week long here on the program, so looking forward to that. Chip from Mount Juliet on the text line says, they already got torched in the Julio trade. Why would they take a risk again? This from Chip from Mount Juliet on the text line. A couple of things of that.
Opposing viewpoints.
Yes, opposing viewpoints. A couple of things on that one. I understand we've gone through the wide receiver history here with the Titans. I mean, the big difference beyond, the Julio, DeAndre Hopkins, and all this, the type of receivers they are, all this other stuff. The big difference is you traded for Julio, and you're not having to trade for DeAndre Hopkins. That's the difference.
Right. Yes.
This one's not going to cost you a second-round pick.
Right. So, yeah, you're not going to get burned losing a pick that could be a really good football player. Will you get burned paying and not, like I guess you could look at like Clowney, another guy who was with Vrabel in Houston and did not work out. I mean, you get burned in that way, but it's not our money, right?
I got a text that says if our O-line isn't fixed, it won't matter if we get Hopkins, which is true. I mean, you got to be able to block. There's no question about that. But, like I said, we've talked about the Joe Burrow Bengals before. If you got receivers that can get open and get open quickly, Joe Burrow took a team with an atrocious offensive line to the Super Bowl. I'm not saying that the Titans are going to go to the Super Bowl if their offensive line sucks and they get DeAndre Hopkins. I'm just saying there are ways to overcome a bad offensive line at times. Now, it's got to be better than it was last year. I mean, there's no question about that. I do wonder as I look at this offense, Joe, like the best version of the offensive line that they've now put together. What is that? Is that a good offensive line? It is a decent offensive line? Is it, solid? Like whatever the best version of this group is, with Dillard coming in and Brunskill and you drafted Skoronski, whatever the best version is, how good is that going to be for the Tennessee Titans if they can live up to it? And I don't know. I have no idea what the best version of this group adds up to.
Right. I don't either. I mean, it's probably best case is probably, good offensive line. But, you could flip around if the O-line isn't fixed, it won't matter. Well, if the O-line is fixed, it also won't matter if you can't make any plays downfield, right? There's two things that they're trying to fix. And one, they've done a lot of things, and we don't know how they'll work out. And the other, they haven't done a lot of things. And they're trying to maybe do one big thing here, which to me, if you can do it, is worth doing.
Joe, what were your takeaways from Treylon Burks specifically last week at minicamp? It's minicamp, so there's a limited amount of information that you're going to learn out there. But as you watch Burks on the field, as you listen to him speak, as you kind of evaluate the entire process of how he's gotten here and heading into year 2, what stands out to you about where exactly Treylon Burks is right now?
Yeah, a lot more confident in everything. Everything he's doing out there, he looks like he's in great shape. He looks fast. He looks physical. Again, physical is relative because you're talking shorts, but there's still just moments where you kind of have a receiver and a DB kind of locked up, and he's a problem. I mean, he's a problem. He's going to be a problem when he gets the ball, and he's a problem trying to press him. And so I mean, he looks good. It's all very much asterisk with the spring, but there's no doubt if you compare now to a year ago, it's a totally different thing. And even after what happened a year ago, eventually in his rookie season, he got to the point where he was becoming a threat and starting to really figure it out. The Green Bay game was huge. He has the touchdown at Philly and then gets knocked out, and that kind of paused things. But you think about the progress he made last year, what he looks like now. I was wondering a little bit like, gosh, so he is figuring it out, the massive difference coming from a college offense typically, and then being an NFL receiver and all the different things that you have to do pre-snap and all that stuff and post-snap. And now you're changing the offense, is not ideal maybe. You got different terminology and all that stuff, but he seems to I think there's still a lot of things that carry over, just in terms of being in an NFL offense. And I think he looks really good right now. So you just have to wait and see what that means against actual competition. But it's between Burks and Okonkwo, and then also Spears to me. I think you got some help for Derrick Henry for sure. You add Hopkins, and it could start to look kind of interesting.
It could. I mean, we went through this a little bit earlier, but I was talking about, over the weekend I was thinking about what could a best version of the offense look like. So let's think about the things they're counting on. They're counting on the offensive line changes that they've made with Dillard coming in at tackle and Skoronski being drafted and Brunskill coming in at right guard and moving Brewer to center. They're counting on all those things working out. They're counting on Traylon Burks and Chig Okonkwo making a big jump from year 1 to year 2. They're counting on Derrick Henry remaining the same player that he's been for them. Tannehill coming back and being healthy off the ankle and looking like Ryan Tannehill again. I mean, all these things are what they're counting on offensively. And if you add DeAndre Hopkins to that mix, and let's say that works out best case scenario for you where he plays, 15, 16, 17 games, somewhere in that neighborhood, and he's 75%, 80% of what he used to be. How good's that offense if all those things come together? It's the NFL. The likelihood of all those things coming together is very small. But if it does, how good is that offense in your mind?
Yeah, it could be pretty good. It's certainly not at all what what a lot of people around the league think it will be, right? I mean, I think it could be a lot better. I mean, there's the OC series by series, just being a good play caller is such a big part of it too. It's like how much of a difference did Arthur Smith make? Arthur Smith had a lot of benefits, a lot of advantages with some of the players who were emerging when he was OC, but also he helped make that happen too. And he seemed to have a really good feel for Ryan Tannehill and what Tannehill does well. And I think if anything, you look at Tannehill with Downing that first year in particular as OC, how much of that how much of the turnovers you put on that? I think there's a lot of different factors, but it's pretty obvious that Arthur Smith and Tannehill had a really good communication and relationship that and Arthur Smith knew how to maximize them. So is that going to be true of Tim Kelly with Ryan Tannehill? That's another part of this too. One thing that TD brought up last week, which is a good point because it was interesting. He was out there, he was running around. He to me, it looks like the same guy, but just for whatever reason, and it's limited. It's just a few team reps every day, but Kyle Phillips really wasn't involved. I do wonder a little bit what that means. I wouldn't, again, it's just like anything. You can't read too much into it. I would think that he would be someone that they really want to have involved.
Jack on the text line says, what does it mean if Hopkins leaves BNA without a deal? This is from Jack on the text line.
That's to me, by far what I expect. I mean, he has another bit. The only way he's going to sign is if they blow him away with a number. And I just don't see the Titans doing that. Visit, talk. Let's talk how it would work, what it would look like in this offense, go through all the particulars. And then he's got a visit to the Patriots. I would not panic if he leaves without a deal. A deal to me is very unlikely because it's pretty clear he is trying to get one more payday, which I totally get. I would be doing the same thing in his shoes. And I just don't think the Titans are going to come with anything close to the number that he wants. If I'm wrong, well, look forward to that email press release at 9:03 right after our show ends.
Yes, that very well could be.
They're signing it. They're signing it as we speak and composing the press release.
Well, and by the way, just to be clear, you're saying a deal. I wouldn't expect a deal. Wouldn't panic if there's a deal like right now in place before he takes the visit later this week. Like this could be something that plays out over the next few weeks here, leading into training camp.
Yeah, well, he just asked if he leaves without a deal, right? I mean, yeah, that to me is 90% plus likely.
615-737-1025, our phone number, 615-737-1025. We'll take your thoughts on the Titans, DeAndre Hopkins, Game 3 coming up tonight between Tennessee and Southern Miss. NBA Finals Game 5 tonight. Everything on the table on our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. We'll get into all of it coming up next. This is Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
185! Every team needs a quarterback.
185!
That's why we have
Hasselbeck, bootleg, rollout, toss,
touchdown.
Tim.
You can run good plays at the right time.
ESPN NFL analyst Tim Hasselbeck gives his expertise on all things NFL.
You evaluate players, and then you're turning them over to the coaching staff.
Every Tuesday at noon.
At the right time.
With Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace. Tim on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Last year, did you say to yourself, Self, if I took the whole family to the Big Machine Music City Grand Prix, featuring tons of music and stupid fast Indy cars racing through downtown, I would be a legend parent and or spouse. But then, you didn't go. Hey, don't be that parent and or spouse this year. Step up, wannabe legend, and get the fam to this year's Big Machine Music City Grand Prix, August 4th through 6th. Get tickets at musiccitygp.com and get amped, legend.
It's time to tee it up at Edwin Watts Golf Shops for the hottest gifts for dads and grads. Featuring the Ping G430 drivers. The G430 drivers combine the ultimate combination of distance and forgiveness. And from Bushnell, the new Tour V6 Series laser rangefinders provide you the most accurate distances in golf. And for the hard to shop for dad or grad, purchase a gift card for any amount. Edwin Watts Golf Shops, home of the 90-day satisfaction guarantee, and shop us online at edwinwattsgolfshops.com.
Mom, we're out of potato chips.
Teenagers, they'll eat you out of house and home, kind of like health insurance, which can take a big bite out of the family budget. Fortunately, with Farm Bureau Health Plan's Core Choice coverage, we can save $3,600 a year compared to the leading competitor. And we've got better coverage with a lower premium, lower deductible, free telehealth visits, and access to one of the largest networks available.
Can we order pizza?
Visit FBHP.com or your local Farm Bureau office today.
If you're hiring, it can feel like you're trying to find a needle in a haystack. You can hope the right person comes along, or you can just use ZipRecruiter. And now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. In fact, ZipRecruiter has helped a lot of business owners find their needle in a haystack, like Marco, president of operations at Telly Tires and Auto Centers. Because Telly Tires has grown a lot in the last few years, Marco needed to hire everyone from a receptionist to a store manager to a head mechanic.
ZipRecruiter helps me find all the right people, even the most difficult jobs to fill. ZipRecruiter helps me keep my business running.
Take it from Marco and millions of other businesses who've used ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter can help you find the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/RADIO. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
Are your investments going nowhere? Here's a tip that always pays big dividends. Invest in yourself, your talent, your smarts, your skills. Maybe it's time to make that investment and start a career in IT or upskill to boost your current career. At My Computer Career, you can bank on us. We'll help you get the right skills and the right certifications to start or advance your IT career. IT keeps growing, so go with the growth at My Computer Career. The right training, the right timing, the right career. Invest in you at mycomputercareer.edu. Start now.
You're listening to Robby and Rexrode, presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Welcome back in. Final segment of the day. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Taking your thoughts on our phone and text lines, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. 615-737-1025, our phone number. 615-737-1025. I got a question on the text line to you, Joe, that says, what do you think is a deal that would blow Hopkins away, in your words? Is it the OBJ deal?
Yeah, I'm just, so maybe it doesn't blow him away, but I mean, the reported thing he's offering is like, 15 and then take it up to 20. So I guess blowing him away maybe is like into the 20s. Maybe the Titans are just going to absolutely break the bank here. So I'm sure if the Titans offered that, he would sign, and we'll get that press release today. I don't think there's any way the Titans are offering that. So has DeAndre Hopkins changed his expectations? Like, has the relative lack of people clamoring for him? I understand he's got 2 visits now, but have he and his agent started to look at this a little bit differently? I don't know. If that's the case, then maybe something can happen pretty soon. if you're tied to those numbers or close to it, I just think you might be waiting a while, and it may be he visits these teams. Now he knows what they have. Maybe there's another visit or two in there. But I could see this going into camp. He doesn't have. There's no urgency to sign with a team here in mid-June. So that's how I see it playing out. Again, I'm sure this means he's going to sign today, but I can't imagine either of these teams are going to come close to that reported number.
I will say the video that Easton Freeze put out there of the highlights from DeAndre Hopkins last year, he still looks pretty good. Just saying.
Yeah.
Still looks like he could help a team.
He doesn't get sarcasm, but he does look like he's
he does not. He had a problem on Twitter. Yeah, he does look like he could still play. So we'll see. Titans and DeAndre Hopkins with a visit, and then he is scheduled to visit the Patriots later this week. So we'll see how everything plays out on that end. Joe, Game 3 coming up tonight between Tennessee and Southern Miss. Your final thoughts on the Vols as they head into a winner-take-all situation to try to advance to the College World Series for the second time in the past 3 years.
Well, it would be obviously a pretty huge deal for this team to get to Omaha. I mean, you said it weeks ago, like one of your UT buddies was like, yeah, well, watch, this will be the team that gets to Omaha. Last year's team, devastating disappointment. The best team in college baseball loses in the Super. Part of that was Game 3. Chase Burns gets the start. Dolander got a win in that Super against Notre Dame. He won Game 2. And then Chase Burns left in a little bit too long by Vitello, and that game flips on them in the late innings, and it's just a devastating loss. Now they have a chance to come back a year later and get there with this team, which was preseason number 2, but not at all playing like that well into the SEC season. We were wondering if they were going to get into the tournament, and what they've really done since sweeping Vanderbilt is it's more like top 5 team in the country performance. I still think that this team is not as loaded as like LSU, for example. Sorry, by the way, about your cats, Michelle.
Holy smokes.
LSU
that was a beautiful sweep by the Tigers. I honestly didn't watch any of the games, but I did see the first game was like 14-0 at some point, and I was like, well, short-lived.
Yeah, LSU. By the way, with Wake, and I think Florida, maybe Florida and LSU possibly, right? Over there, or one of the two in Omaha. So, it's today trying to get to Omaha. Then it's like if they get there today, it's the formula. This weekend is the formula for them to also have a chance to win a national championship, which is they have starters who can give you dominant performances. That's what you have to have. Dolander did it. Other than the 3-run homer yesterday. Now, if you can't have the other than the 3-run homer moving forward, but he was great. If Drew Beam is what Drew Beam has been most of this season, and then with the bullpen they have, Tennessee should win today. They have the advantage. Southern Miss is out of their best pitchers, other than the reliever Armistead, who was bad yesterday. Now, because he was so bad, he got taken out quickly, and Scott Berry told him right then, you may be a big factor yet in this series, and so today would be that day, but. That comeback yesterday and the Clemson win, that's some special stuff. That's special team kind of stuff. And if they win today, what a story it is to get to Omaha after all that has gone on. And I would not count them out there because, you get a Blake Burke hitting a 479-foot bomb. You got Christian Moore hitting now. You got Dickey hitting now. The lineup is starting to come around to what Tennessee was hoping it would be this season.
By the way, Wake put up 22 on Alabama yesterday, 22-5. LSU wins 8-3 in the final game yesterday, but they win 14-0 in the first game. So my called shot of LSU outscoring Kentucky 23-6 is close. I believe it was the final tally ends up being 22-3. So
actually,
close,
it was even worse than you said.
It was.
Yeah, and my called shot about Kentucky sweeping LSU was just so close too.
Yeah, you almost nailed it.
Almost nailed it.
You're only 2 games off.
Just a little backwards there, but very close.
It was.
Still a good run for the Cats.
It was. Joe, Game 5 tonight in the NBA Finals, Denver and Miami. Denver with a chance at home to win their first title against my beloved Miami Heat. It has not gone well from the Heat the last couple of games at home. Denver, I think, is clearly the better team. We talked about that a couple of games ago. And I think the Nuggets close it out tonight, and they finish the job, and it's over with tonight in Game 5. What say you?
I do too. I hope not. I hope we get a surprise and that, they can come back and that the poor Miami Heat mascot who got absolutely obliterated by that crazed cokehead, will be okay. But
Conor McGregor?
I forget what his name is.
Now, he in person is very short. I saw him one time.
Oh, man. Yeah, apparently he punched the Heat mascot as a part of a joke, and the guy ended up in the emergency room.
I'd like the Heat mascot to be able to play another day, but no, I think it's over. I think it's over tonight, and I guess it's what you call it, a gentleman's sweep. Is that Is that what we call this? Yeah, a 5-game sweep. It's like when the Pistons beat the Lakers in 5 in 2004. With Kobe and Shaq and just absolutely obliterate him. There was one lucky game where Kobe hit like this deep 3, but it was really like a total domination. That's basically what this would be, a 5-game sweep. Not as dominant, but the Nuggets are the best team. They are the best team. They are the deserving champion, and they just have so many answers. They're role players. Like, everything works well together. It's a really great team with Jamal Murray also becoming a great player.
Joe, real quickly, we've got like 20 seconds left. I came across a TikTok video yesterday of John Mason announcing the starting lineup for the Detroit Pistons in the finals back in that series. It was awesome.
Oh man, Mason's the best. Oh,
it was unbelievable.
Fantastic. Yes.
That's going to do it for us today. We'll see what happens tonight in Game 3 with the Vols and Southern Miss. NBA Finals coming up tonight as well. We'll be back 6 a.m. tomorrow. Chase and Michelle up next. This is 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
All the big plays